know exist. It's like a perk in the talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Then I put back to the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Let me better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Naruto Enters Hazbin Hotel. Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of Crowfeast on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Naruto turned after hearing the voice and saw that it was VERYYYY, who had a smile on her face and is now wearing her pink fur coat she is accustomed to. Naruto, I wanted to tell you something before it became public news. Something I think you'll find exciting. VERYYYY said without any hint of lust or attempt of seduction. Naruto stepped back and glared at her, prepared to run. Look, if it is about your next shoot and you're going to be stripping, then I'll pass. You know I'm not interested in those kinds of events. Naruto stated clearly to the pop star. No. VERYYYY said quickly as she waved her hands and laughed a bit, keeping that in mind for the future. I'm taking your advice serious from our conversation all those years ago, and I'm going to rehab for real. Oh? Naruto said with a quirked eyebrow. VERYYYY hates rehab, so the fact she is willing to go on my advice is suspicious. So, I just wanted you to know it is a special clinic, and I would like you to come and see me while I'm there, okay? VERYYYY said with her hands behind her, her tail making the shape of a heart. Naruto shrugged his shoulder, not caring and wanting to leave. I'll try to make time, but I make no promises, he said, not intending on following this promise. VERYYYY nodded her head, and without letting the chance pass, she kissed him on the cheek, making him blush under his fur with wide eyes. Until next time. She walked away with a sway in her tail, while Naruto could only shake his head, looking for a place to wipe off her scent. Finding no other option, Naruto booked it to the bathroom and feverishly scrubbed his face down to get her smell off of him. Okay, I think that does it, Naruto said as he tried to calm down. She is more dangerous than any demon in hell I have seen. Even Valentino and Alastor pale compared to her. Exiting the bathroom, Naruto went outside, seeing Xavier there waiting for him, and after getting in the back of the car he said. To the hotel, Xavier. Of course, sir, how was work? Annoying, I'm going to catch some sleep, wake me up when we are there, Naruto said as he put his headphones back in. Yes, Lord Naruto. You will just call me Naruto one day, you bastard, Naruto declared lightly, not sounding threatening, as he set the seat to lean back as he closed his eyes, falling asleep and trying to dream of better times. But the nightmares are still there, and all he saw at the end is red eyes and a dark red figure in the distance. In another part of hell. In a dark, fancy bedroom was a girl sitting on her bed and watching the live concert of VERYYYY. While normally not her scene for music, she heard someone interesting was there from some of the updates and tweets. Hearing this, she tuned into the event, on her father's card of course, and saw a hellhound fighting a wash-up pop star. But what caught her attention is his blue eyes and his damaged ear. It's really you. I finally have found you. A blush formed on her face and her pink eyes started glowing in the dark. This time I won't let you go. You've ignited my soul and I refuse to let anyone else get to you first. In a rundown office, a gray, white, and black fur female hellhound smiled, watching the concert on the computer. Nice to see you doing so well, Naruto. I hope to see you again after all these years. Hotel, 2 days later. Naruto sighed in tiredness as he sat down, having just finished installing additional locks to all doors and windows around the hotel. I will settle back into my routine, Naruto thought, as he remembered his attempts calming his mother and Vaggie down from what happened at the concert 2 days prior. He had to explain what happened and the fact that he was noticed, but it was not a big deal. It just showed that he was there and killing a former star, and thus increasing the overall appeal of the concert. The residents had a laugh, minus Charlie and Vaggie, and Naruto then had to ask Charlie for permission to install all the locks. Since it was a big hotel, it had taken 2 days. Listening carefully, Naruto could hear Alastor in his room, doing what he did. Niffty was shuffling somewhere in the attic, cleaning, obviously. Husker was currently at the bar, restocking the shelves. Angel, who had a mild relapse in his rehab, was under surveillance by Charlie and Vaggie. Currently, he was out getting the newspaper as a test. The sounds of the hotel staff were lulling Naruto to sleep, making him smile at the normality of his day. Ring. The doorbell ring echoed in all rooms, not the bedrooms, but rooms that all staff members would most likely be in. Naruto groaned. I am the closest one to the door, he thought as he forced himself to get up. I guess I'll answer it. Walking to the door, Naruto sighed and put a small smile on his snout and opened the door. Welcome to the Hazbin hot. His smile disappeared as his BLD ran cold. Standing in front of him was VERYYYY with a smile on her face and her bags behind her. Hey there, honey, she announced as she wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed his cheek. This action brought him out of his shock, and he whispered, What the F are you doing here? Oh, didn't anyone tell you? She smiled, as she pulled back a bit. I heard this hotel is supposed to help us with the road of redemption and helps people let go of certain vices to redeem themselves or something like that. She waved her hand. I decided that I need to overcome my drinking habit, and the best way to do it was here. Naruto started to sweat when he heard footsteps behind him, and he just thought. SHT is about to get real. He thought as he turned his head. He saw Charlie smiling. Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel. VERYYYY raised an eyebrow and looked behind Naruto. Charlie saw who it was and saw red. What the F are you doing here? Naruto is not for sale, Charlie said as she ran between them and held her arms out to keep VERYYYY from Naruto. Well, I'm not here for buying Naruto's services. She smiled, trying to sound convincing. I'm here because your hotel helps sinners overcome their inner demons and whatnot. She waved her hand and had some imps dragging in her bags with a struggle and Naruto just watching. So, my manager and alike agreed to let me enroll here. In exchange I quit drinking. Charlie is steaming and the heat coming off her was terrifying for the imps, but Naruto knew that she was mad. She was caught in a rock and hard place. Charlie couldn't turn VERYYYY away as her policy is helping anyone that wants help. She had to help her quit drinking, and thus she is to indulge in helping. Well, welcome to the hotel, Charlie forced herself to say, moving very slowly like a rusted robot. Vaggie, in the background, watched Charlie and saw that she is almost gritting her teeth. So where is the paperwork I have to fill out, and where is my room? Preferably next to the security of this place would be nice, VERYYYY said with a wink at Naruto. He just sighed in defeat. Things are going to be interesting from now on, he whimpered. Oh, we have a room for you, and we can take care of the paperwork now. Charlie grabbed the pop star and dragged her away while VERYYYY just winked and blew kisses at Naruto, who just ignored her and turned to Vaggie. Make sure mom doesn't kill her, okay? He asked. Yeah. Vaggie ran off after Charlie, leaving Naruto to go to Husker. Drink, Naruto said as he propped his elbows on the counter. The cat demon nodded his head and instead of a glass gave him the bottle of scotch, and Naruto started drinking from the bottle. Good thing I updated the locks, Naruto thought as he guzzled down the scotch, putting it on the table with a loud groan. Angel walked into the room and threw a magazine on the bar with a smile, the newspaper under one of his lower arms with sunglasses on his eyes. Check it out, Naruto, he said before winking at Husker. Hello, Husker honey. The cat ignored him and just took a deep swill of his beer. Naruto looked at the cover and dropped his scotch, which broke and spilled across the floor, to which Niffty shot toward it and cleaned it. Husk, I'm going to need another bottle, Naruto said as he shook lightly. On the cover was him, but in this pic, there was the caption. Sexiest demon alive, is he dating the hottest succubus? What is their secret relationship? Oh tilde, is the virgin hound scared? Tilde Angel asked in a teasing manner. Naruto's fist smashed into the spider's eye, breaking his sunglasses. Naruto snored loudly, a snot bubble inflating and decreasing with every breath he took as he slept. His phone lit up and his ringtone went off. Devour worlds, smite forsaken. Rise up from your 1000th year of sleep. Naruto's ears twitched as his ringtone, lyrics and music from Batmetal Forever, Awakened by Archives, continued. Break forth from your grave eternally. I command you to. Naruto's eyes shuddered before staying closed. His conscience started to awaken. Rise, rise, rise. Oh, F me. Naruto grumbled angrily as he grabbed his phone before he slid the bar, ending the song, and answered, Who is it, and what do you want? My, is that any way to talk to your dear grandmother? Naruto froze as he shot right up. No effing way, and today of all days? Grandma Lilith, Naruto replied in a nervous, fearful tone. Hello sweetie, how are you today? Lilith said casually on the other side of the phone. Having a despicable time as always looking after your mother. I wouldn't say despicable, but it has been a challenge at times. Naruto replied as he rubbed the back of his neck. She seemed to make a ton of enemies recently. Oh, I'm aware, and your grandfather has a request for you when we come to visit. Lilith said with a happy tone, smiling so much that it could make human children cry. Naruto blinked as a sense of dread washed over him. What do you mean visit? He asked, praying that it was a joke. Well, Charlie has called me a few times and talked about how rough things had been when stuff started and how it has just been harder than she expected. Lilith answered, giggling at the tone of Naruto's voice. So, we are coming down to see her and try to cheer her up. But aren't you busy? Naruto pointed out, trying to avoid this visit. Normally yes, but paperwork can wait as I think it is time for us to see this hotel that she fixed up and how things are going with these two famous clients you have living there now. I even heard you're dating one, a succubus no less. Lilith giggled, trying to hide her enjoyment when Naruto sputtered. Your grandfather is very proud of you and wants to know when the wedding is. Naruto rubbed his eyes. Of course they would focus on that. No, we are not dating, Naruto said as he lay back down, pinching his nose. VERYYYY is just someone that is uber obsessed with me to the point that people think we are dating. Honestly, I don't find that kind of attraction to her at all. Oh shit, I thought you might be bringing me home a future granddaughter-in-law soon. Oh well, but who knows what will happen in the near future with her there all that time for treatment. By the way, how is all that going? Lilith asked curiously. Fine, Naruto replied as he pulled his phone away to make sure no one was in the hallway, via hearing their steps. Things are fine. We have had a few setbacks, but nothing we didn't expect with people from hell. We had to make a few exceptions to rules for them, but I think it is the right thing over just forcing the whole thing down their throat at once. How thoughtful of you. That is why I knew letting you go with her to this hotel was a good idea, Lilith stated proudly. You help while at the same time level things out instead of playing with unrealistic expectations. But going back to what you said earlier, is Lucifer really coming? Naruto asked in a whimper. Yes, now I know that he and Charlie ended on bad terms, but I don't think it would hurt for him to at least see some of the progress she is making and hopefully see that she is bringing hope to some demons in this place, Lilith said as she sighed. I can see a fight breaking out between them as soon as he enters the door and opens his mouth, Naruto joked, causing Lilith to giggle some more. I can see that too, but they both need to grow up and try to be adults at this point. For F's sake, they are the king and princess, they should be able to talk about stupid shit like this, you know, Lilith said with a roll of her eyes. True. Naruto smiled at his grandmother's casual talk. Well, I know she and Vaggie will at least be happy with the visit, so we'll see you soon. Indeed. Please don't let Charlie know. Knowing her, she will freak out and do something stupid and make her situation worse, Lilith asked him, knowing that Charlie would act irrationally if she knew. Yeah, I won't. She is so much like her father that it is crazy. I swear. Anyway, sweetie, we'll see you soon and please find me a girlfriend. I would like to see you dating sometime in the next year or so. Bye. Lilith ended the conversation and Naruto could only feel his eye twitch as he put his phone next to him. He closed his eyes in an attempt to go back to sleep, but it never came. Groaning, Naruto rolls out of his bed and onto the floor. He sighed. Another day in hell, literally, Naruto mumbled as he got off the floor. After dressing in a pair of shorts and a shirt, Naruto opened his door and saw the locks had been fiddled with, annoying him. VERYYYY again? Man, that is the 5th time in less than a week, Naruto thought as he readjusted them. Ever since she enrolled in the hotel for treatment for her drinking, I have felt the need to avoid her at all costs. And I effing live here. On top of that, I have to keep Charlie from strangling VERYYYY. Naruto's thoughts wandered to the staff of the hotel. Alastor found it hilarious that Naruto was terrified of a single succubus that was gunning for him. Husker felt bad for the kid and always supplied him with drinks and lied about where he was hiding all the time. Angel just teased him and his aversion to sex and mocking him a bit for being a virgin, leading to either him getting hit by Naruto or hit by Vaggie. Charlie and Vaggie, on the other hand, were doing what they can to help treat the pop star while at the same time keeping the former from killing her. Niffty, on the other hand, took an immediate disliking of the pop star and made it obvious as she would always get between them and cling to Naruto, screaming she had claim. Naruto sighed and walked down the stairs and entered the foyer. "Hey Husk." Naruto grumbled as he sat down, head on the counter. The cat nodded his head and poured him his morning drink, scotch on the rocks. Naruto downed it instantly and sighed as he put the glass down, rubbing his eyes in annoyance. "Another day in hell, huh?" Naruto asked sarcastically. "Yeah, but it is probably better than shit going on in the living world now. I hear all kinds of crazy shit is going on up there." Husker grunted as he turned to clean some glasses. Naruto nodded his head. It seemed that in some places the humans were close-minded and trying to be politically correct to the point that he laughed. They tried that shit down in hell. They would be the first eaten or killed the minute they annoyed a demon. While he understands Charlie wanting to help the lost souls and allow them a chance of redeeming themselves, Naruto could understand Lucifer's argument that not all souls are redeemable, and that death in hell is bound to happen at some point or another. It is all about who could be saved and who couldn't. Naruto sighed, hearing shouting on the upper floors. "Bet it is that pop star again and your mother," Husker pointed out, due to the two of them constantly being at odds. Naruto smiled at Husker. "Now that is a sucker bet if I ever saw one, because I would bet on the same thing." Naruto chuckled as he smiled, really needing the levity at the moment. The cat shrugged his shoulders and took a swill of his booze. "You see Alastor this morning?" Husker asked. Naruto shook his head. "No idea. Most likely he is trying to avoid the showing of sexual demonstration that the girls are doing these days." Naruto replied lazily. Husker nodded his head and held this info for the future, that way he can get him to leave him alone by having some nearly naked women or sedics talk going on to dissuade him from bothering him. "So, what is the plan for the day, Naruto?" Husker asked, getting a head shake in response as he tapped his glass, which Husker refilled. "Usual stuff. Keep the hotel running, keeping an eye on Angel and VERYYYY, stopping Charlie from killing said woman, and just making sure everyone is doing what they need to in order to keep this place running," Naruto said calmly as he heard a crash upstairs. "Sounds like a shitty job, man," Husker stated before he took a drink. "You think about doing any more work?" Naruto shrugged as he lifted his drink to his mouth. "After what I was paid for the concert and killing that wash up, not really." Naruto finished his drink and got his refill. "I have more than enough money to never really want anything, and plus Charlie buys me things when I express interest. On top of that, I'm the only one that is keeping people from tearing each other apart. In particular, Angel and Vaggie were the original duo that fought, but now Charlie and VERYYYY are fighting." Smelling a heavy scent, Naruto sighed. "There goes my morning." Naruto grumbled before he felt arms wrapped around his shoulders, and he felt a generous bust pushed against his back, making his fur stand up in shock and fear. "Oh, dear, you don't have to be so harsh," VERYYYY purred out as she felt his body under her hands. "Considering it is either leave or watch Charlie kill you, I prefer the option of me running," Naruto thought as he felt a small rush of excitement from VERYYYY touching him. Naruto drank down the rest of his scotch before trying to stand up. VERYYYY, not having it, maneuvered to sit in his lap, keeping him from moving and forcing his eyes on her very alluring morning outfit. Compared to Charlie and Vaggie, she went with something more daring and sexually alluring that even Husker had to turn away with a small blush on his face. I mean, the diamond thing was practically see-through, and worse, he couldn't tell if there was anything underneath in terms of panties, and he was really not wanting to find out. "Baby, you seem so stressed. Why don't you let me take care of you?" She started to put her hands around his shoulders and slowly massaging them and making his fur stick up. Naruto was feeling a little hot under his fur and his collar, but he kept his composure. But it was broken when his tail started to slowly sway back and forth. "Sorry, VERYYYY, I'm not interested." Naruto quickly picked her up by her waist, stood up, and put her down in his seat while he headed to the staircase. VERYYYY frowned before turning to Husker, who had a dead look in his eyes as he stared at her. "So, Cat," Husker raised an eyebrow, not liking being called Cat. "What is his deal? I mean, is there something wrong with me or something?" VERYYYY ran her hands through her hair, then gripped her melons. "I mean, I get the idiot masses drooling over me in both worlds, and yet he seems almost immune to my allure." Husker sighed before taking a swig of his beer. "Not my department, Toots. Go bother someone else about that sheet." He then burped, some of his saliva hitting VERYYYY, making her flinch in disgust. "Plus, I'm not supposed to be serving you anyway?" He waved her away with his claws. The woman angrily frowned before walking out of the room and heading back up the stairs, leaving Husker to sigh and just bemoan the annoyance of the day. Naruto at this point made it back to his room and changed while checking his phone for recent news given the concert and the mess that came from that. 2 weeks and my whole life feels like it is falling apart at the seams. Naruto heard Angel groan through the walls. "Angel!" Vaggie shouted before the sound of destruction of property echoed through the hotel. Great Naruto deadpanned as he pulled on his jacket. Naruto quickly exited out of his room and headed down the stairs and to the point of the noise. Entering the room, he saw Angel sitting there with a grunt look on his face and Vaggie seething at him with the room in disarray. Thankfully, Angel's pet pig, Fat Nuggets, was safe in his little bed, watching Angel and Vaggie before he took notice of Naruto and oinked. "Excuse me." The two turned to him with one looking on with sweat dripping down his face and the other looking slightly relieved. "Naruto, good to see you," Vaggie said, regaining her composure enough to talk calmly. "What is going on, Vaggie?" Naruto asked, wanting to get to the point. "Angel here has been doing online services from his phone for clients," Vaggie stated, turning her head to point and glare at the spider. Naruto raised an eyebrow and looked at the star, and he waved his hand. "Hold on, she thinks that is going on, but it is not, I swear," Angel said in a defending tone. Naruto shook his head and held his hand out. "Give me the phone," Naruto calmly ordered. "No way," Angel growled, but Naruto just stared at him. "The fact you won't let me check what she is talking about means Vaggie is right. Unless you have something to hide, just let me have the phone and see what is going on," Naruto stated in irritation. "What did I do to deserve this bullshit today?" Angel growled but handed it over reluctantly. Naruto opened the screen and entered the password. He got it after 2 incidents in the past before the announcement, and looked at his screen. On the phone was pictures of Angel during his time with his boss and times spent with his friend cherrybomb. He scrolled through it and found the most recently used app was a video one, and after clicking on it, he saw that he had recorded a video. Looking at the video, he saw something that made his eyes widened. "When did you have time to record something like this?" Naruto snapped in a panicked, somewhat embarrassed tone. Vaggie, confused, tried to look, but Naruto quickly held the phone out of sight. "Naruto, what is it?" she asked in concern. Naruto shook his head, his fur having tinges of red in them, and quickly typing a few things before handing the phone back to a smiling Angel. "He was behaving, sort of. That is all you need to know," Naruto said as he looked away, not wanting to make eye contact with Vaggie. Vaggie frowned even harder before turning to Angel. "What was he watching?" she demanded. Angel shrugged his shoulder with a roll of his eyes. "Not sure, he might have seen one of my old sex videos, maybe my pole dancing, or hell, he could have seen something from one of my videos during the pawn shoots I did a few months ago." Angel shrugged as he sat on his bed and stretched, Fat Nuggets getting on the bed and snuggling with him. "Who knows? But doesn't that mean if he saw and believed me then that nothing is going on?" He smiled smugly. "So, you can go taco breath." Vaggie glared harder at him and her bow turned into horns. "Don't push your luck with me, Angel. You'll find that is ill-advised." She stomped out of the room, going to talk to Charlie about something that Angel did and see if she can get the phone. Angel laughed before opening his phone back up and playing the video with what he saw as a new caption. "Delete this or I will finish you if Lucifer doesn't." Eh? He smiled and played the video again. Who knew things got that steamy between the two of them? Charlie, do you really want to try this out? Come on, it could be fun, just put the collar on. Ugh, fine, just let's never talk about this outside the two of us. I would hate Angel knowing of our explorations. Vaggie put on the collar and leash, and Charlie smiled, seeing her crawling to her in her underwear while she licked her lips. Charlie then tapped the front of her panties, and a black strap-on appeared. Vaggie started slowly dragging her tongue across the dildo, and this made Charlie's eyes turn red for a second, while Vaggie was giving her a sultry look before she started to reach the tip. From there, she opened her mouth and started working her way down the dildo. Charlie just moaned. She showed she was feeling the sensation in some manner, and before anything else, she pushed her head down the dildo, making her take the whole thing into the back of her mouth. Man, Princess sure has some interesting kinks. He laughed. But here's his phone dinged and a message came up. Opening it, he saw Naruto glaring into his phone with red eyes with the caption, "Don't effing test me. Delete that video." Geez, such a buzzkill, Angel groaned with a smile before pressing some buttons and then deleting the video. Can't wait to hear about this. Naruto shook his head as he really didn't need to know about his mother's indiscretions with Vaggie. Walking down the hall, he proceeded to find Niffty cleaning everything in sight and rushing him. Man! Naruto just turned to the side and quickly tripped her down the hall. Watch your step. Turning back around, he proceeded down the hall. I need another drink. I want you, Niffty shouted as she landed at the bottom of the stairs, as if she felt no pain. I'll get you, eventually. With her declaration done, Niffty returned to her duty of cleaning. I swear everyone is so DMN interested in my sex life. It is crazy. I don't even advertise that sheet. Because you're a virgin, that's why. Naruto turned his head and saw Angel standing there being smug. Sorry, virgin pup, everyone is going to give you crap until you start dating and actually lose your V. He snapped his fingers, his index pointing at Naruto. I get it now. You don't have a girl because you can't get it up, and it is so small it is laughable. Naruto's eyes went wide, and he dropped his phone with his hands twitching. Hey, there is no shame, I mean you know the saying it ain't. He sensed death, and looked seeing Naruto's body covered in his dark red aura, he saw killing that snake demon and his eyes dark red. Teeth barred at him, and he realized Naruto was going to kill him. Oh F! The spider demon ran down the hall. Help, wild dog on the loose. Throughout the hotel, people saw Angel running, while Naruto tearing through everything in his way to get his hand on the former pawn star and wring his neck. The day progressed after they managed to calm down Naruto, and Charlie hit Angel for mentioning Naruto's sex life and his virginity issues. After this, Charlie got the sharing circle for Angel and VERYYYY set up. It went south instantly as VERYYYY purposely said things to make Charlie angry, in turn making Angel laugh his ass off. In the afternoon, Naruto saw Angel drinking, while VERYYYY was sitting in a chair trying to hide. She is looking between him and the booze at the bar. VERYYYY was not allowed to drink at all while at the hotel, and they already found her sneaking booze into her room. After doing a STRP search following the discovery of the booze, they found only a flask on her thigh, and that was a place that Naruto didn't search as Vaggie knew why it was there, and it was not to hide it. Naruto was looking through his phone to find some new ideas for himself, and to have a reason to get out of the hotel tomorrow. His mother gave him one day of the week where he could be out most of the day while she and Vaggie took care of the clients, and he enjoyed himself or did some other work. Could address this issue with Valentino tomorrow, or I could find something interesting to do at the Hellhound Agency. Hellhound Agency, it was just as the name states. Hellhounds could go there to put in resumes for work and be hired out for whoever wanted them for a variety of work. Some got bodyguard work like Tex did. Some got sex work which was more profitable for them than if they worked at a club, bartenders or other variety of jobs in hell that they could perform if they have the skill and looks. Naruto, however, was a unique case as he was not only the most expensive, but he was not listed under his normal name and just under the title of King of Hellhounds. Naruto had the right to turn down work due to how much he is worth and the fact that he is leading Hellhounds to become more independent than other races in Hell. The best part, he got his race to learn from example and really expand on their own skills and talent while managing their own reputations to rival even the highest non-noble demons if done correctly. Looking through the listing of work on their site, he saw one with his name on it, and it said, Hellhound Inspection. Hellhound is said to work for an imp corporation in Imp City. Reports state she works as the secretary for an independent murder sect of imps known as Imp Immediate Murder Professionals. We need a wellness checked on the Hellhound and see if they need anything at this time and if they need to be found new work and support in the coming months. Rate is the same as previous jobs of similar nature. Please respond as soon as possible, please. Wellness checks were rare in Hellhound cases. Most people don't care what happens to them or treats them like garbage. Luckily, through him that is changing and their agency is having checkups on certain Hellhounds that might be in dangerous positions due to recent conflicts with imps. Lucifer did say my success would possibly lead to conflicts with the imps and Hellhounds due to not wanting to be seen as the lowest ranking race in all of hell. Tough sheet, if they want to fix that they could, they have members that could raise their prestige but fail to do so for selfish or arrogant reasons. Naruto texted the agency. Contract taken. I'll look into it tomorrow. Naruto closed the site and looked through his texts, smiling at what he read. Yo, it's Texman. Me and my girlfriend are going to be at Giovanni's tomorrow. You want to join us and a few others for a few drinks and some fun? Sure, man, but I ain't paying for everyone's drinks like last time. No problem, dude. Last job paid so well, drinks are on me. See you there at 8. That gives me time to do the wellness check and then head out to the bar later and get some drinks and have some fun. Plus, knowing that Slime Giovanni, he might have something needing to be done. Putting his phone up, he looked at the S and saw Charlie and Vaggie there as well, talking to Angel and VERYYYY about stuff they have tomorrow for treatment. You can see their excitement, Naruto thought sarcastically. Both were rolling their eyes and VERYYYY was winking at him with her face covered by the magazine until Vaggie having to get her attention stabbed through it and through it. Niffty caught it out of nowhere and continuing her cleaning. Just another day in the Hazbin Hotel. Naruto sipped his drink and smiled before feeling his phone ringing and saw a message. Unknown number. You have something that belongs to me. I want it back? Sorry, he belongs to the hotel now, but we can negotiate terms, unless you want to start a war and bring everyone's attention on you and possibly Lucifer's ire. I'm not afraid of you, you DMN mutt. I almost had you all those years ago, and I will get my property back, one way or another. Want to bet on that? Promise you won't, but I'm willing to negotiate terms if you want to be adults instead of children. Or would beach be more proper for your stuff? Come and see me at my place tomorrow. Let the front desk know. If you try to screw with me or screw me over, I promise not even your dear mother will save you from my wrath. I don't need her to fight my battles, you moth freak. But I'll be there tomorrow night, don't wait up though. Wouldn't want you to feel this is anything other than business. I'll see you then. Tell my darling Angel I'll be seeing him soon. Naruto rolled his eyes before turning his phone off and looking at Angel. He could see his attention was on him, and from the looks of him and at the phone in his hand, he got some similar messages, meaning that Valentino was not going to back down and he was going to get Angel back one way or another. Naruto Mao, relax, I'll take care of it. You focus on recovery. Angel frowned but nodded slightly. Naruto walked up the stairs, and what no one could see was his eyes were turning red at small flickers. Game on, motherfucker. Heh, nice to see you're taking things seriously unlike before. Naruto looked around, not seeing the source of the voice. The F. Naruto muttered in confusion. I might be crazy, but I swear. We'll meet in time, Naruto, soon but not now. Who's there? Naruto demanded, looking around before focusing on hearing for any excess breathing. Not hearing the voice for a minute, Naruto shook his head while heading to his room. I need to get some rest as tomorrow was going to be a busy day, Naruto thought, as he needed to be rested to deal with his grandparents. It could only get worse once it starts. Naruto dusted off his shirt, making sure he looked somewhat presentable before he headed out. He had quite a bit to do today. All right, Mom, I'm heading out. Naruto called out to Charlie. Charlie, standing at the doorway, had a concerned look on her face while Vaggie was keeping one of her hands on her shoulder. While she didn't show it, She did worry about Naruto, but not as much as Charlie did. Naruto, please stay safe, and if you need anything please call. I'll be there in a heartbeat, Charlie said as she hugged him tightly. Naruto's sweat dropped as he hugged her back before they separated. I can defeat overlords and make even the most powerful nobles tremble at the sight of me, and she still worries about me. I guess that is a mother's love or something. Relax. Naruto put on his hoodie, which had a black pentagram on it to contrast the now white hoodie. He personally liked the design given that Lucifer gave it to him when he moved out with Charlie about a year ago. I just have to take care of some of these things today, and it won't lead to any unnecessary problems. Not true, given the recent tension against the imps your kind are facing. This might be bringing more trouble and bloodshed to your doorstep. Vaggie chimed in. Naruto scratched the back of his head and without looking leapt over a small blur niffty that tried tackling him. None of those imps would have the balls to face me straight up, and even if they tried, I know for a fact that I can handle anything they can throw at me. He smiled, and without hesitating he kissed his mother on the cheek. I'll be fine. Naruto looked at Vaggie, and giving her a teasing wink, he kissed her cheek, making her blush lightly and giving a conflicted look. Later, Naruto walked out the door, hearing a voice scream no more than a second after the door shut, and it sounded like his mother was yelling at VERYYYY. Geez, some things just don't change in this place no matter what, Naruto mumbled with a humorous smirk. Walking to the front of the hotel, a limo pulls up and the back door opens with him hopping into the back seat. Where to first, Lord Magnus? Xavier asked as he looked at Naruto through the rear view mirror. First, Naruto. Second, head to Imp City. I want to do the wellness check first before having to address the other issue, Naruto said with mild irritation. Of course, Lord Naruto. The back window rolled up, blocking a knife, which he got from Vaggie, Naruto had thrown. Ajol. Naruto grunted as he crossed his arms before he groaned. First his talk with Angel, and then this mess. Yeah, he was not happy in the least. Flashback. Naruto, listen, you can't go to Valentino's place, Angel stated with a hidden panic. Why not? Naruto rubbed the back of his head and yawned. He woke him up at 5 in the morning for this? Look, I know you think you're tough and all that, and quite honestly, your power and skill far surpass his, but you don't know what the man will do and how underhanded all of his tactics are, Angel replied with worry. Naruto shook his head. Look, Angel, it might not look like it, but I do know what I'm doing here. Now you might think I don't know what the moth freak is capable of, but the truth is I know more than most what he is willing and capable of doing. His left ear twitched slightly, drawing Angel's attention, seeing the piece of his ear that was still missing. Wait, you're saying? I'm not sure, to be honest. But given that the demons that came for me wanted me for their boss, and he was the only one I can think of wanting a blue-eye hellhound, my suspicions are on him, Naruto replied as he held a distant look in his eyes. Angel looked at Naruto, then looked down, trembling. Aren't you terrified of him then? I mean, he did that to you, and now you're willing to throw yourself into his den where who knows what is waiting for you, Angel asked as he looked at his friend in disbelief. Naruto sighed. Look, Angel, I don't know what is going to be waiting for me. Honestly, maybe it is an ambush, maybe it is a setup, or hell, he could be having someone there to try and capture me to get to you. I don't know, honestly. Naruto looked out the window and saw the red moon going down. But there is one thing I won't do, and that is be afraid of him. He gripped his claws and his eyes turned red for a minute, before going back to blue. I refuse to let that man intimidate me anymore. I've met Alastor, who is 100 times more terrifying than him. I dealt with the Magnus family, assassins, angels, and all kinds of evils and disgusting beasts in this world. And you know what? Angel looked up and saw the ferocity in his face and the small smile on his face that made him more intimidating thanks to his glowing eyes. I've conquered or surpassed them all. Now look at me, he waved his arms out. I'm the hellhound that has made my people more important, built up their agencies, trained us for the next generation, and even managed to get us standings on par with most races to no longer be considered trash, just another race. I lead reforms without knowing it half the time, and I also became the most feared of my kind and the man that is respected and feared by all major players in hell. He looked up at the ceiling now and imagined his childhood with the Magnies, meeting everyone, training with his hellhound teacher, and all the battles and fights he got involved in. Then he remembered his younger self as a human, a blonde child surrounded by jeers and sneers, dark figures reaching out to torture the child, and then he reached out to the ceiling to try and grab the child. Who I was as a human no longer matters. I don't even remember anything from that time anymore, as all my memories are now here in hell. He leaned back with his hands positioned on the bed, letting Angel admire his fur chest and the definition of his muscular figure. I live Angel. He looked at his face and saw pure determination. I live by own code, my rules, my ideals, and my own identity. If nothing else from this hotel, I want you to take this to heart, okay? Angel looked on, and when McNuggets hopped up on the bed and licked his leg, he smiled and hugged his pig. Yeah, I think I'll try that. Don't mean I'll make things easy. He laughed a bit. I don't plan to make things easy for Charlie or Taco Breath, but I'll at least try your way of thinking. Naruto nodded his head, pushed off his hands into the air, and landed on the floor with a flip before walking to the door. Reaching for the door. Angel. He looked up. If this works out, if nothing goes wrong, and you don't give me any trouble after I come back tomorrow, then I'll make special arrangements for you to go out with me to Giovanni's and have some fun with some friends of mine and cherrybomb. Angel's eyes widened. You mean it? Does that mean I can drink while I'm there? Naruto sighed. Mom, forgive me. Yes, but only to the point that I have one of my friends watching you, and you don't try to do any pole dancing or having DRGS or segs, got it? Don't you dare violate my trust while we are there. Angel smiled brightly. He had been cooped up in the hotel for the last few weeks, and after little to no progress in his treatment, to hear that if he just behaves until Naruto gets back, he could go out partying. Oh hell yeah. You got it. Good. That means if I find out you fall off the wagon while I'm gone, and afterwards you won't get another outing for quite some time, got it? The spider demon nodded his head rapidly, and his pig oinked in agreement, and both laid back down with Naruto, hearing him falling asleep quite easily. Naruto smiled and walked out of the room and prepared for his day. Hey, he was already up, why not? Flashback end. We're here, Lord Naruto. Pulling himself from his thoughts, he looked and saw a dark building with the words Imp HQ written at the top. What a shithole building. Indeed, sir. Should I call someone else to take care of this? Naruto sighed. 1. I already took the job. 2. No one else could do this job. And 3. Just call me Naruto, damn it. Xavier smiled, seeing the young master step out of the car and standing on the sidewalk facing the building. Be back in about an hour, okay? Yes, Lord Naruto. Naruto watched the limo pulled away in a spur, and Naruto could only stare at the car in annoyance. That DMN, little effer. He took a deep breath and walked into the building. Entering, he saw a main lobby, nothing special at this point, and continued through the halls and to the elevator, in which he managed to make it to the top floor of the building and saw signs for different agencies and whatnot that were staying here. Most were small businesses or alike that were trying to make living in hell. Ironically, these are the same imps that people cheat on too much, and ultimately seeing them nothing more than slave to dispose of if need be. But Naruto knew that due to their unassuming nature at times, give the right conditions and reasons, they could dispatch even noble demons with ease and become overlords if they try it. But most are too selfish or greedy in pursuing other goals that they fail in any attempt to be taken as serious as the rest of their race. Plus, I don't think that my work has here is the office, and what the F does that say? Imp headquarters. Meeting in progress. You know what, I'm not even going to ask, I'm just going to get this over with and head down that moth freak before I go back to the hotel. Knocking on the door, Naruto waited for a response, but he got none. Knocking again, this time harder, nothing came from it other than some shouting on the other side of the door. Naruto knocked once more, and this time he was banging his fist on the door. Knock on my door one more time, Azul, and you'll be licking my ass. Naruto got a tick mark on his forehead. Mother effer, now I'm said. With no hesitation, Naruto kicked the door and sent it flying to the other side of the room and through the window, down the street below, landing on an orange hoodie demon and crushing him underneath. Kekni. Back in the office, Naruto walked in with a scowl on his face, his fangs starting to show. My name is Naruto. I'm here on behalf of the Hellhound Agency, here to do a wellness check on one Luna Hellhound. In the room, Naruto noticed 3 imps and 1 hellhound. One of the imps had black hair, curly horns, black spade tail, gold eyes, a heart tattoo on their shoulder, and wearing what looks like a torn-up black dress. Next to her was a white-hair imp wearing a formal suit, a tail as well, gold eyes, and seemed to have white and black horns. He seemed to be frustrated but concerned about something. The final imp was taller than the 2 of them, with a curved head that reminded Naruto for some reason a shaft. Having to go through Angel's room for contraband, he found tons of sheet like this and knows more about sexual anatomy than he is comfortable with. Wearing a black suit and white shirt with, he guesses, is a tie. The man had white marks on his face and over one of his eyes and seemed to share golden eyes with the rest of the imps. He has a long tail and carried a massive scowl on his face. What the F, Azul? You owe us a new door. Naruto gained another tick mark. If you had just answered the door, dickhead, that wouldn't have happened. He has a point, sir. Shut the F up, Moxie. Naruto sighed and rubbed his hand over his eyes. Look, I'm just here to do a wellness check on one Luna Carnival. So can you please, is that a human child hooked up to a heart monitor? Looking in the back of the room, Naruto saw a kid in an orange shirt, blue ball cap, and puffy cheeks just lying there on a heart monitor. How in the F did you know what? Naruto just rubbed his face more and just groaned. I'm not even going to act like I saw the child in this office. Just let me do my job and leave. Yo, been a while, huh, Naruto? Turning his head, Naruto saw a beautiful hellhound with long gray hair, gray fur with some white spots such as her ears and around her melons and legs. Her long busy tail was black on the top part and white underneath it, and it just hung loosely on the floor going through the hole in the chair. She had white pupil in her eyes with red around the pupil, and she was wearing some revealing black shorts and small gray top strained against her melons with a pentagram allowing people bold enough a look into her melons. Do I know you? Luna frowned. Yeah, Gluttony Ring, an old orphanage, some old rusty crone that you managed to dispatch. Naruto scratched the back of his head and then snapped his claws. Oh right, I think I remember now. Flashback. Naruto was no more than 6 years old, and he was tired. He was tired of being treated like crap, being attacked by the other hound kids who thought they were so tough until he knocked out one of their fangs, and tired of having little to nothing to eat. You little sheet. A brutal kick to his stomach sent him crashing into the wall with a thud. I know you're the one that stole my DRGS. Where are they? And I promise if there is any left, I won't gut you. Naruto felt her wrap her claws around his neck and he started to choke. I don't have them. Liar, sweet little Marcus told me you stole them. Of course, he did. After I kicked him and his goons' asses yesterday, he wanted to do anything to get even. Naruto tried to break her grip, but she slammed his head into the wall. Don't you dare try it, you little sheet. Naruto saw it. His vision around his eyes, they were fading. Can't. Black. Out yet. Right as it was to happen, he heard flesh tearing. Ah, you little sheet, I should have thrown you in the dumpster when I had the chance. The woman released her grip on Naruto and he choked on air, looking. He saw a girl with short gray hair and red eyes ducking away from the matron. She had managed to avoid her grasp, for now. She saved me. Huh, weird feeling. Naruto growled lightly. She is going to get hurt, better return the favor and end this mess once and for all. The matron caught the girl's tail and was dragging her upside down to see her face. She growled. You want to die too, runt? The girl didn't hesitate and spat in her face, making the matron scream and slam her face first into the floor with a sickening crunch. Before the matron could stomp on the child's head, ending her life, she felt something chomp down on her throat. Without hesitation, Naruto bit into her and aimed with all his might and rip out her throat. He pulled his head backwards as hard as he could, and without any chance to react, the matron found herself choking on her own BLD and bleeding out onto the floor. No, my life can't end like this. She saw her world fading while Naruto wiped the BLD from his muzzle. By the way, Marcus stole your DRGS, not me. But he was. The thought stopped and Naruto watched as the matron laid motionless. Turning his head, he checked on the girl and saw, while she would be missing a little BLD, she wasn't dead or hurt too bad. "Hey, can you get up?" The girl's eyes were blurry and saw the blue eyes of the hound she saved. "Yeah, a little." Naruto sighed. "Good, stay safe. I'm going to settle something and then I'm getting out of here, okay?" "Wait," she tried reaching but the boy was gone. "I don't even know his name." Looking to where his bed was, she saw it written at the front. "Naruto. Naruto, I'll find you again." Luna soon passed out, not knowing that Naruto had beaten Marcus and his buddies within an inch of their lives, so much so that the other children stayed clear and let him leave without any resistance or attempt to kill. Flashback ends. Luna. "Yeah, I remember you and I killed the matron all those years ago. Man, talk about a coincidence." The girl smiled. "Yeah, after that day the other kids talk about you still. Man, you put the fear of hell into them big time." Naruto laughed a bit. Yeah, killing someone at their age and beating up the strongest kids there multiple times tends to lead to that. "Wait, hold the F up." Both hellhounds looked and saw Blitzo angry. "You're telling me you two know each other from childhood? How the F did you not tell me this, Luna?" The girl shrugged her shoulders. "You never asked." Blitzo raised a finger and then realized. She was right. Naruto coughed. "Well, anyway, Luna, I'm just here to do a wellness check on you." He sat down in the chair in front of her, thanking Moxie for moving, and pulled out his phone and asked some generic questions. "Luna Carnival, is it true that you were adopted by said imp Blitzo O is silent when you were 17? "Yeah, I was. How about you?" Luna asked slightly bashfully. "I was about 6 when I was adopted, honestly just out of nowhere as expected for the Princess of Hell," Naruto replied, willing to catch up with Luna while they did the questionnaire. Luna giggled a bit at this and hiding her eyes roaming his body. How delightful. Such a fantastic body, and yet he has that look of a worn and torn warrior about him. Oh, I wonder if he be up for some doggy style. She sighed internally, although he might not be interested if he learned about my condition. "So," Naruto continued while ignoring Blitzo screaming in his ear, until he kicked him into the wall. "You work here at this imp, correct?" "Yes, it stands for Immediate Murder Professionals." "Ah, I see." Naruto sort of remembered a commercial he saw while flipping through the channels a little while back. "I'm guessing you work as one of the killers." She shook her head. "Secretary, pays good and I can goof off on my free time." Moxie coughs. "More like always goofing off and not really helping the company." Luna gave him the middle finger after raising it slowly from below. Naruto just sweat dropped some more. "Right. Looking at this next question, how would you describe your life at this point? Are there any major concerns?" Luna rubbed her jaw. Quite honestly, she knew the right answer, but another one could lead to something else. Honestly, she looked at Naruto with a small smile. While sometimes this job is sheet, Blitzo is a pain in the ass and annoying. Moxie won't lose weight no matter what, and Millie has to compensate for his lack of a shaft, the room turning angry and hurt Blitzo. "I would say that I rather not go anywhere else. This place is really good for me, and while he is smothering, I do," she sighed. She knew what was going to happen with this comment. "Love him as if he was my father." The room went silent, Naruto recording her answers and seeing she was telling the truth about it all. Moxie and Millie are shocked with how nice Luna was being about working here, and while she was insulting them, they realized she did enjoy her job here at Imp and spending time with them. "Blitzo? Oh, my baby girl, I love you so much. I'm so happy you are in my life." Luna felt Blitzo rubbing his face against her and she just sighed, letting him enjoy the moment since this is rare for them. Plus, maybe this way he will try to listen more to her about what she wants rather than assuming. "I see. Well, Luna, it looks like there is nothing wrong at this time and no concern other than the human in the corner, but other than that it seems that your living arrangements are good." Luna nodded while Blitzo was kissing her cheek and rubbing his head against her face, making her more and more annoyed as time went on. "Is there anything that you need at this time?" She thought it over. "You wouldn't know if there is a cure for syphilis." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Someone has been promiscuous." Luna blushed slightly, Blitzo just enjoying the warmth against his daughter, thus ignoring the situation. Well, there is a cure for the disease in the human world. If you are in the early stages, then it should be treatable. I'll ask someone to deliver it as soon as possible. Naruto texted this info to the agency to send one of their kind to the surface that can get the meds and deliver them to Luna. Luna smiled brightly. Thanks. By the way, can we trade numbers? I don't have too many friends these days, and it'd be nice to catch up. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this and smiled. Sure, why not? Naruto quickly gave her his number and she gave him his, leading to Blitzo exiting his bliss mode and now yelling at Moxie about the failures of the company and how he was always back talking. Luna and Millie soon got involved, leading to the little kid to finally say, "You guys are a bunch of assholes." Everyone turned to the kid and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Wasn't the kid near death's door? Oh, shut up kid, you're luck to even witness this. It has been a living hell just pretending to bed so you sheetheads don't kill me, but now I want that. He held his cheeks and moaned out, I want death. He pointed to Blitzo first. You are a stupid, selfish clown and I'm a kid, we're supposed to like clowns? Naruto raised an eyebrow at the sudden twitch Blitzo was demonstrating. Clowns must be a sore spot for him or something. Hey now, that's not very. If I wanted to hear words from a spineless Jax, I would rip out your spine and make you talk. Soon Millie got involved. That's my husband. Ha, that's your husband? The two growled at this comment. I figured you for a slot, but I didn't think you needed shaft that bad. This gave Naruto a feeling of, holy shit, this kid is about to get killed for sure. And you, pointing to Luna? What about me? Nothing, I don't talk to dogs, I'm a cat person, the child looking smug, and this comment irritated Naruto as well. Cat-loving little sheet. He's so effing lucky there is nothing allowing me to send his ass falling out the window. Hey, if a kid talked like that and acted like that, then there is no reason he couldn't dream of throwing an annoying sheet like him to his death. Plus, that one over there is a dog that looks like he is missing his balls. This comment made Naruto freeze and Luna, seeing the look in his eyes, said, You all might want to duck under the tables. She quickly dashed under with Millie dragging Moxie and Blitzo with her and hiding while they could feel the pressure growing in the room. Luna groaned at the power, and while she was a bit turned on, she knew from some of the stuff she found about him recently, this is a clear sign someone was going to die. Walking slowly, Naruto glared down at the child, who still looked smug about his comment and at getting this reaction out of him. Standing right in front of him, he smiled. So, someone thinks awfully high of himself, he smiled. Let's bring you back down to the ground floor. Without warning, Naruto slapped the kid on the ass, sending him through the window and down to the ground below. You could hear a splat and some imps shouting on the street about a child falling from the high building and looking up to see who caused it. What the F defeat? Turning his head, he saw Blitzo poking him in the chest. That kid wasn't the target. Killing him is going to hurt our reputation. Seriously, how the F could do something so stupid? Naruto narrowed his eyes. Want to join him then? A dark red and black aura started forming around Naruto, and the ground was beginning to crack. His eyes shined but were starting to flash red for split seconds. Blitzo growled. Let's go Azul. Blitzo stated as he prepared to fight Naruto. I'll make you sug my shaft as an apology. Pulling out a flintlock, he aimed it, but Naruto slashed the pistol, making it comically fall to the ground in small circles. Want to try again? Blitzo growled until Luna answered a ring from her phone and then shot up from under the table. F guys, that was the client, the kid was our target. Blitzo turned to Luna and frowned. Our client wanted us to kill an actual child. That's what he is saying. Blitzo looked down in shame but smiled afterwards. Christ on a stick, I guess there is a god. Turning to Naruto, he found him holding him by his neck and looking into his eyes. The only reason I'm not putting you through the same window is because it would hurt Luna. Try this again and Luna, or not, I'm going to send you to the world after this one Azul. Naruto dropped him to the floor and took a deep breath before waving at Luna. See you Luna, text me if you want to hang out or something. If they don't have your medicine in a week, let me know too. Naruto said as he headed to the door. Luna blushed and waved. Sure thing. Naruto walked out of the office and Blitzo shouted, Moxie, get the body, we need to recover it before someone sees it or other demons come around to eat it before we can get paid. Naruto rolled his eyes and took the elevator down to the ground floor and exited to the building, seeing the limo waiting for him as he had texted him while in the elevator, and Xavier never goes far. Opening the back door, he sat down in the seat. Everything all right, sir? He was too tired and annoyed to argue. Yeah, fine, just don't tell Mom about the body in the streets. Xavier raised an eyebrow, and looking out he saw a human child that was being shoveled off by some purple demon with tentacles, but he saw him shot in the head by a red imp with white hair and him taking the body inside, leaving the demon dead in the streets. I see. Do I want to know, sir? No, and there is some extra cash in it for you not to say a thing to Charlie about this. About what? Exactly. Xavier put his foot on the gas and began driving away. How was the meeting, though? Good, turns out the Hellhound is a friend from my days at the orphanage. Ah, that must have been nice to see. Naruto laughed lightly. Well, it was until her PP head, literally shaped like one, father, decided to get really annoying at times. Naruto rolled his eyes. It amazes me they don't think some of us know how they are doing their job in the human world. Indeed, I believe Lord Magni finds it quite entertaining, and as long as they don't cause too much trouble in the human world, they won't be too much other than entertainment. Naruto laughed. Yeah, I guess. Naruto frowned. Although I wonder which noble handed out their book like that. I mean, it has to be someone in the royal lines in hell that would have magical affinities, and not too many of them have that. How about the Gosha family? I believe the prince, Stolas, is fairly strong, and could fall for someone like that imp if he is like you described him. Maybe? Naruto rolled his eyes. Well, that is neither here nor there. I have to get prepared for my next stop. Effing Valentino's little business. Do me a favor, Xavier, when we get there. Yes? Drive away and let me walk back to the hotel. Sir? I know it is asking a lot from you, but this is not a situation where I'm going to allow anyone related to me in one fashion or another being open to that scheming moth PMP. Xavier looked at his back mirror and saw the concern on his face and sighed. Of course, sir, I'll be nearby, as if Lady Charlie hears of me just abandoning you out there. I dare say she'll gut me in an instant. Naruto smiled. Don't worry, I'll handle her if it comes down to it. Naruto laid his head back and sighed. Man, this next part is going to sug for sure. Hotel. Charlie was doing her session with Angel and noticed a far-off look in his eyes. While the group session was a bust, at least this time Angel seemed more distracted than annoying her or Vaggie. He hasn't even insulted her once today. How odd. Angel. The spider demon turned his head. What? Charlie smiled. Is there something bothering you? You seem less snarky today than normal. Angel sighed before leaning back in his chair. Just worried is all. You know where he is going, right? Yeah, but don't worry, Naruto has dealt with people like him before, and I trust him to handle himself if things get out of hand. Angel frowned. If only you knew the lengths he'll go through to get his property, you wouldn't be so confident. While Angel didn't pay attention to politics, he knew that in terms of the power structure in hell, it was simple. Royal family is the strongest. Charlie, her father and mother. Noble families, Gosha and alike. Overlords, Alastor, Red PMP, Valentino, Vox, etc. Human turned demon and most hell-born demons, himself and others. Among them, Valentino is not powerful, but he has connections and enough means through blackmail and other resources to get what he wants even from the nobles, and there was no lying he was great in sedex exchanges. He would not be against using nobles and alike to get at Naruto to get to him. Naruto might not fear him anymore, but Angel sure as shit did. After all this time, he is the one person he fears more than anyone, and quite honestly, he is not sure he wants to face him again or anyone from his old life. Look, Angel. Grabbing his hands, Naruto is going to be fine. Valentino and Alastor are two overlords he has dealt with the most recently, and quite honestly, he is committed to this hotel and helping you more than anything. I don't think I have to tell you Naruto does care for you. Not in the romantic way, she waved her hands frantically, but more as a sibling or best friend, you know. Angel nodded his head, figuring that, yeah, look, if it is all right with you, can we cut the sessions today? I'm just not in the mood to share and care. Charlie smiled, at least he asked. Sure, tell Husker I said you can use the bar a little longer tonight, okay? Thanks. Angel was about to walk out but remembered Naruto's words. Live your life how you want to live it. Sighing, he turned away from the door and walked up to Charlie. She raised an eyebrow before suddenly pulled into a hug. Thanks, Charlie, for believing in me when no one else will. He released his hug and quickly walked out of the room, and Charlie could only release a scream heard through the hotel. Angel had made his first real step. It was a great day for everyone. Luna was sitting in her room looking over some pictures she had found on the internet. More, the pictures of Naruto. Most of the pics were just him fighting some of the demons in hell from a couple years ago, and considering the guy was still kicking ass and taking names, he was doing it more often now. Sadly, his actions had the effect of letting some of the other demons roam into those neighborhoods and claim them for themselves, and even start up new gangs led by different overlords of varying sizes and methods. Luna would know. She had seen one group that is led by an imp, and he runs it like a mafia syndicate. Flipping through some more pics, she licked her lips seeing a shirtless Naruto during one of his outings when he was trying on clothes. More, his body was muscular under the fur and even had the scars that to Luna were a major turn on, showing his time on the streets was never forgotten. Plus, that means he can take pain just as much as he can dish it, which leads her to think other thoughts. Suddenly, her phone dinged and saw one of her friends was online and PM her. Alprincess 2245. Oh, hey Wildhound, how's your day? W, pretty good. You? Oh, just doing what I can to avoid my parents, damn it. They keep fighting to the point that the others are noticing it just by walking by our house. Even then they see mother walk out the front door in a huff, and then they get more bent out of shape. WDMN, that's F up all because your dad cheated. Oh yeah, I don't really care either way, but still it is effing annoying. What about you? Saw you had a post mentioning seeing an old friend again. W. Yep, I knew him back when I was in the orphanage, and seeing him again after he got all famous and shit, it was nice. Oh? Famous how? Luna tags a pic she had saved of Naruto in his casual clothes in a white hoodie with inverted crosses on it. She then sent the pic to Owl. Oh, no sheet? You're friends with the legendary Hound. W. Yep, we knew each other back in the day, and honestly, he was a scared little sheet back then. But he was the first person to show us that we can fight back and prove our worth in this world. Really was a comfort to most of us growing up. Oh, is he still in the area? Luna raised an eyebrow. W. No, why do you know him too? Oh yes, but I got to go, my parents are calling. W. Okay, message me whenever. Oh yeah, you're on break on days that end in Y, right? W. Yep. Luna then saw her profile ping signaling she logged off, but she couldn't help but wonder. Why did she care I knew Naruto? Most don't even know his name unless they encounter him or talk to people in the right places. She shrugged her shoulders. Oh well, time to see if I can find that one where he is trying on underwear, or better yet bathing on the beaches of lust. In another part in hell, there was a click on the computer and an owl teen was sitting there. She is wearing all goth clothes, with a beanie on the top of her head with a crown designed into the stitchwork, and wearing earbuds in her ears, which one can't see unless they looked close under her feathers. She had long feathers around her body to match her black hair that went down her back and contrasted her purplered eyes. She had a black tip beak and was walking with a slouch, knowing what her parents wanted and really didn't want to get in the mix of things. More so, she now had to drag herself out of her room after learning her online friend met him. Feels like forever since I last got a good lead on where to start looking for him in hell. For a famous hound, he really doesn't make it easy, plus mother would freak if I left the house looking for him. I hate it here. Walking down the hall, she could hear her mother screaming and her father trying to calm her down. But it was proving pointless as the fighting kept getting louder and louder the closer she got to the main living room. The room was decorated as one would expect for a noble. Fancy furniture, paintings of the lord and lady of the house and herself, and fine carpet and decor decorating the room. The room was dark in color scheme, with the most prominent colors being purple and black. I can't believe you were sugging off that effing imp in our bedroom. Stella, I'm sorry, but you don't exactly bring warm comfort to our life. Oh, I suppose that this disgusting imp that dared to desecrate our bed is more than worthy of that. Do you know how effing embarrassing it is to hear this in front of our friends? Why do you care? This reflects on me, not you. Oh, it does reflect on me, you imp-sugging bastard. The girl just watched as her mother continued to rant, and finally her father took notice of her. Octavia, good afternoon. The girl raised an eyebrow. Her father was weird in trying to change the subject to her. Her mother just turned to her and sneered. I see you're still wearing that disgusting cap. It is like I'm surrounded by people that just want to embarrass me. Octavia sneered. At least I'm choosing what I do with my life, unlike you. What was that? The white-hair owl with pink eyes started growling and approaching their daughter, but in a rare moment she stopped when she saw her husband standing in front of her. While she might insult the man, she knew he was not one to provoke, as one of the few nobles that is considered a possible replacement for Lucifer if something were to happen to him and his family. Stolas, Prince of the Hell, is wearing his regal red robes with a crown on his head, and his 4 red eyes were trained on Stella, his wife. I believe you were about to leave, no Stella? Stella growled. Now he shows a backbone or tries to be responsible. Are you? His eyes darkened, and this made the room shake a bit. I said, you are leaving, right, Stella? The woman growled and stopped out of the room, making sure not to step on the inside of her dress, and head out to try and make sure her standing among the nobles is saved from her husband's infidelity. DMN, Dad didn't know you had it in you. Why haven't you done that? More would save us all a lot of headaches. Stolas turned to his daughter and smiled slightly. I sometimes wonder myself. He ruffled her head, making her moan in embarrassment. But back to the point, I called because I wanted to ask how you are doing with everything. Octavia raised an eyebrow. Fine as can be, I guess. We done? She really wanted to go back to her room. Stolas grabbed her wrist. Excellent, I think we should spend the rest of the day together. Come, there is much to do and much to purchase. Octavia tried in vain struggling against her father, but seeing him excited, she lost the will to fight him after a few feet. Just like back then, only the fighting was quieter. Flashback. 5-year-old Octavia is terrified. She is sitting in a tent in Lulu Land and watching some robotic monstrosity dancing and clowning around, and his green glowing eyes were freaking her out. Her father insisted on a family outing, but why this place of all places was a mystery to her, and honestly she could sense the tension in the back of the room with her parents. Her mother was not a fan of this place, but Stolas thought that it was the greatest considering he was dressed up for the occasion. Goofy hat and all. She saw the robot clown coming closer to her, and her fear was growing second by second. His hand was close to her face, and she was ready to scream. But soon a hand pulled her back and pushed another child in her place for them to be swept up in the mess. Octavia took a sigh of relief but turned around and saw a hellhound standing there. You okay? Yes I am, thank you, Sir Hellhound. The kid raised an eyebrow. Don't be formal, it is annoying. He looked at the clown and narrowed his eyes. How the F that thing entertains people is a mystery to me, and quite honestly, this is the most annoying place I've been to in the last year. Octavia was surprised to hear someone slightly older than her cursing, but she could see the appeal. Who are you? The kid turned his head and smiled. Just a hellhound mutt, I guess. That is what people call me anyway. Looking up at the crowd, he saw the adults completely oblivious that some of the kids were terrified of the clown and thought it was a good joke. So, want to look at the rest of the park with me? But my mother always told me. The hellhound rolled his eyes, allowing her to see his eyes were blue and that he was missing a bit of one of his ears. Listen, kid, you want to enjoy yourself? Sometimes you got to be adventurous and be willing to defy some rules until you find what makes you happy. Taking her hand, he rushed out of the tent with her, and she was following best she could in her pink dress. Where are we going? The hound smiled. To have some fun. Without much warning, they ended up in the carnival lineups with challenges that allow you to win prizes. She looked around nervously. Scared of someone coming for you? Turning her head. Yes, you might not know this, but there are quite a few demons that would love to get at my father no matter what, and my mother. I know she'll be furious about me just running off like that from the tent." The kid sighed and put his hands behind his head and walked forward without a care. "Come on, you can't say that you're happy living like this?" "Living like what?" He turned his head slightly. "Scared of every little thing that might happen and things that your parents ordain as absolute and something you have to do because of status or lineage or family honor or other useless shit like that." Octavia's mouth hung open at his dismissal about everything. "Look." He walked up to one of the booths, and when a small red imp tried jumping him from the roof, she saw him step to the side and without warning raised his foot up to meet the imp's crotch, leaving him writhing on the ground from a sickening crunch. She swore she saw blood seeping out from his fingers. If you worry about all that stuff, then you really fail to see what you want or desire in life. More so, you don't get to live your life, they are living your life, you know? He stepped on the imp's neck, and it gave under a sickening crunch while he put some money on the counter for some baseballs. "Then how do you live?" Octavia was tired of this kid ridiculing his family and acting like he knows better than his parents, knowing what it meant to live when he was not even a noble of any standing. "Me? I live my life by my choices." He threw the first ball, shattering the stacked bottles. "I choose how I live, what I eat and drink, when I sleep, when I train, when I want something and how I go about getting it, and finally what my life is meant to be." He threw the second ball, shattering another setup, making the owner growl. "No matter what, my choice is what matters to me, and I feel others should understand that." He threw his last ball and shattered the last setup and raised his hand in the air in triumph. "Well, nobles don't have that luxury of freedom that a commoner has. Actually, they have it more than a commoner does." He looked her square in the eye and took another baseball, and without warning he beamed the stand owner in the face, jumping over and landing on his chest before pulling something out from his hand that was hidden. Holding it up, Octavia saw it was a pistol, and without hesitation he pointed it at the demon and shot him in the head, covering him in his brain and blood. "How do you figure nobles have it easier than commoners in the case of freedom?" "Simple." He looked through the collection the man had in the back of his stand and was looking for something. But he found almost nothing until he grabbed something sitting underneath the cash box that he was hiding. "You nobles can choose how to live and where you live. You can choose who serves you, what you know, what is deemed true for nobles, and what is deemed false. Honestly, you guys have more freedom than most, and more importantly, you have the power to defy the very system that was created and make it something new. The choice, however," he jumped over the barrier while spinning the pistol in one hand and holding something in his other hand. "Do you take control of your life and lineage, or do you let it dictate you?" He then threw the item at Octavia, who caught it. She looked down and saw it was a black beanie with a small crown stitching on it. The design was crude, but it was still a nice hat. "All that matters is choices and what you make of them. Make sure you pick what you want to do, okay? Trust me, you'll be happier due to it." Octavia looked at the hat, and for the first time in her life, she could say without a shred of doubt she loved this hat. She loved it, the design and the feeling of it, and the fact that it was her first gift from what she can assume is a friend. It was comforting to her when surrounded by those that will kiss her as and treat her as if she was divine and without fault. "Octavia." Turning slightly, she saw her father and mother rushing to her, and without warning her father picked her up in his arms and was hugging her closely. "My little starlight, don't you run off like that again, please, I was so worried." Octavia frowned and hugged him back. "I won't, Daddy, I just wanted to win a prize and my friend did for me." Turning his eyes, he saw the male hellhound looking over the pistol and just sighing. Looking at the corpse, he could figure out what happened. It was regular occurrence that an employee would be murdered at their stall for trying to cheat a customer. "Well, that is nice. Mongrel, how dare you touch my daughter?" The hound looked at the woman owl and didn't even flinch as she got right in his face. He just stared at her and rolled his eyes, before turning on his heel and walking away with wave. "Nice meeting you all. Have fun. After all, my mother only brought me here to brag about how much better the other one is." "Wait just a effing minute." Before Stella could chase down the hound, Stolas put a hand on her shoulder, and when she growled at him, he glared back. "Touch him, and we will have more than a fair share of problems that won't end with just our loss of prestige." Turning his head at the child, he frowns. He knew who that was. Anyone in the royal lines would, given he was famous and known for his unique eyes and missing ear, and it was a good thing he was here otherwise. Their family would go extinct for daring to harm him. 2 noble families already were killed after they did something in front of his grandfather, and this led to him slaughtering them and their family without hesitation. The only good news is that the families that were killed were Azul's anyway, so no one cried at their line ending. Putting his daughter on the ground, he notices the hat in her hand. Starlight, did that nice hound give you that? Octavia nodded her head, but her mother snorted. It is an eyesore, throw it in the garbage now. No child of the Gojo family shall. No. Stella glared at her daughter, who weakly glared back. Stolas watched in shock. What was that? I said no, I want to keep it. I like the hat. She put it on her head, and while it was a little big now, Stolas could say it fit her. Absolutely not. Stella reached for it, and Octavia flinched, but her father got in front of her and stopped Stella from touching her. Enough. If she wants to keep that, I say we let her. I mean, what is the harm after all? She made a very interesting friend today, and I can't wait to see how things blossom from here on. TCH, that brat will never be anything but an eyesore in hell. You might think that, but he will still be there, and you know it. Daddy, do you know who he is? Yes. He smiled. He is someone special. Be on the lookout, as I can promise you, he is going to be someone to fear when his time comes. Octavia nodded her head, but what she didn't know was the thought of him had ignited a fire in her, and she wouldn't know what to do with it until she was much older. Flashback ends. Octavia could only sit in the car and sigh, while dragging one of her fingers across the window and smiling lightly. Soon we shall meet again, and I won't let anyone take you from me. Stolas subtly was watching his daughter and smiled. Ah, young love. Valentino's Club XXX. Naruto sighed. Opening the door to this place, he was assaulted by all kinds of horrible smells and pheromones that were running rampant. But he had to stomach it for his fry client. Yeah, client. Hey you. A small being with a pink head and one eye looked up and pointed his tentacle at Naruto. Oh sir, sorry if I kept you waiting. As you can see, we have another very loaded day. Sedix puns a thing too, huh? I'll pay double your salary not to say that while I'm here. Sorry, Sir Lord Valentino's orders. Naruto rolled his eyes. Look, the moth freak and I have a meeting today. I'm not here for anything other than that. Tell him that the Hellhound King is here, got it. The small being shivered. Yes, sir. He quickly picked up a phone and dialed one number and put it to his ear. Sir, there is a gentleman here to see you. He says he is the Hellhound King. He nodded his head. Yes, sir, right away, sir. He hung up the phone and turned to Naruto with a bow. Please follow me. Walking away from the front desk, they entered the main floor of the building, and it was just like Naruto pictured it. STRP purples everywhere, scantily dressed men and women demons walking around, some even effing on the couches and giving blowjobs or even eating women out. On top of that, some were serving drinks, and some were not even dressed and had discarded their clothes the minute they walked into the building. Pretty much the room smelled so horrible that Naruto covered his nose with one of his hands and his ears closed downward to prevent the sound of slurping, moaning, screaming, and slamming ringing to the point that is all he hears. Unfortunately, the little servant picked up an unknown alcohol drink and started walking with Naruto following quickly behind him, leading to Naruto avoiding some of the women that tried to grab him the minute he was within range of their claws and even hooves. Naruto and the demon arrived outside of a door that read, VIP. Naruto looked and coughed. You should probably knock first rather than just barge into the room. Might avoid a bullet. Ah, he nodded his head and heard a muffle. Come in. Entering the room, the demon placed the drink in front of his boss and bowed before walking out as quickly as his tentacles could carry him. Valentino. Naruto, his voice had a bit of a static sound to it. How pleasurable you are here now. Turning to the women on the couch, ladies, give daddy some alone time with his guest. Please entertain the guests on the ground floor. Of course, Mr. Valentino. The girls waved at their boss and blew kisses at Naruto, who just ignored them, keeping his eye on the Azul in front of him. Sitting in a chair was a blue-skinned, red-eyed demon wearing love shades, long fur pim robe, and a large red pim hat. The man had a small Lilith frame, all things considering countering his height and more so. He had only 2 of his hands free at this time, while the others were occupied in his coat pockets. So, Val took a sip of his drink before pulling up his cigarette pipe and releasing a puff of smoke. "You finally have come. I knew that back then you were special." He pulled out a keychain from his pocket, showing a severed ear that was perfectly preserved, and Naruto's ear twitched. "Yeah, well, at least I don't get my kick abusing and effing children, you are effing freak." Valentino laughed. "I'll have you know I don't touch kids. I'm many things. A drinker, businessman, sex machine. I'll even admit I'm an abuser and user. But the one thing I don't touch is children, get that through your head." Naruto narrowed his eyes. "Didn't seem to bother you to chase me down?" "Oh, I was going to keep you as my pet, and when you were old enough, then put you to work." "That is still abusing and using children, you sick F." Valentino took another drink, and with his last hand, he swiftly threw a deck of cards on the table. "The past is the past. Why don't we focus on the present, my dear doggy?" Naruto growled before walking over and sitting down in the chair in front of the Agile. Valentino quickly shuffled the cards and started dealing. "So, I think you know why I wanted you here, right?" Naruto nodded his head and looked at his hand and kept a straight face. "This is about Angel." Valentino nodded his head, and with a wave of his hand, a sack of chips appeared and soon dealt out the chips for the game to really start. Naruto threw 2 chips into the center. "Angel is with the hotel now, and that means he is done with your world." "Oh, and how do you figure?" He smiled and threw 3 chips. "After all, the man has been failing to keep to anything that the hotel has set up." Naruto narrowed his eyes and tapped the table, signaling he will stay. Valentino did the same thing, and they revealed their hands with him grunting in anger as Naruto took 5 chips. He might have had a few failed attempts, but that is expected for someone going through recovery. But the thing he doesn't need right now is you. Naruto shuffled the deck before dealing out the cards. Looking at his hand, he grunts while Valentino smirks. Well, even if he wants to leave, he can't. He snaps his finger. Out of flames came a large parchment titled Contract. He signed a long-term deal with me and my company 5 years ago. He not only has to work out his contract, which he is not even half completed with, but he also has to pay back what he owes in terms of debt, which is quite a lot of money. Valentino threw 10 chips into the center, daring Naruto to match it. Naruto didn't hesitate, and he threw out 10 chips. Both stand and then showed their hands while Valentino was angrier. "How the F did you pull out a royal flush?" Naruto smirked. "Guess I'm just that lucky, huh? Sorry that your only attraction is the dildo in your ass." Valentino gritted his teeth before shuffling the cards again while Naruto collected his chips. "But if the issue is the debt, then tell me how much he owes in total and don't leave 1 cent out." Valentino handed out the cards, Naruto seeing him slip a few into his hand, and he smiled seeing what he got. "He owes me close to 10 million. Naruto nodded his head and took another card while looking at his hand and smiling. Valentino nodded his head and pushed more chips onto the table and got another card, smiling at it. Naruto shook his head, and when they revealed their hands, this time he slammed his fist under the table in fury. "What the F? How did you beat me? I know I should have won." Naruto chuckled while taking more of his chips and then shuffling the cards once more. "Want to switch games? Seems like poker is not your strong suit." He then handed out the cards and the Mothman sat down in a huff. "Just play." Naruto nodded his head and looked at his hand, but put his cards down to glare. "The money I can pay easily, and if you try to hide that I paid it or try to make it where he still owes, I'll know, trust me." Valentino huffed. "As for the contract, I have something to trade." Naruto reached into his hoodie and out came another parchment paper with the word contract, but Valentino took one notice of the contract. It was in red. "Is this?" "Yes, this is a Lucifer contract." Valentino swallowed. Lucifer contract, a contract formed with a connection to Lucifer himself. The man makes these contracts to keep track of who is keeping their debts and who isn't, and who can be eliminated and who isn't going to be eliminated. While normal magical contracts work, someone can word it to suit one party or another. But in this sense Lucifer balances the contract to favor both sides and that no one gets screwed in the end. But if one person was to break their end of the contract, Lucifer will find out and hunt them down, as this means they believe him nothing to fear, and he will not take this from anyone. Yes. Valentino grabbed the contract and read through it, while Naruto pushed his chips into the center of the table, making this the last hand of the game. First he was reading calmly, then angry, then annoyed, and then with understanding, and finally with a big smile on his face. The terms, I can accept these terms. If that means you get to do some stuff for me in exchange and ensure that I make up my losses with this move. Naruto nodded his head and Valentino pushed his chips into the center of the table, and after picking a card they reveal, and it shows that Naruto has a straight flush and that Valentino had a flush. He huffs. Well, that effing blows, and not in the fun way where it ends with me covered. Yeah, keep dreaming. Naruto gathered the chips, and with one tap of his fingers they all changed into cash before he starts putting the bills into his jacket pocket inside of his coat. Thank Lucifer for the storage space in this thing. Valentino snorted. Well, tell my darling angel if he wants to visit he is more than welcome to do so. But I guess we can consider our business concluded then. Naruto nodded his head, and after both men signed the contract, he walks out of the room hearing Valentino shouting into the phone about getting some men and women for service. Exiting the building, Naruto sat down in the limo. It had waited outside this entire time, and it made him angry that Xavier didn't listen to him. So, sir, I'm guessing that your business outside of the contract is concluded. Naruto snorted. Not even effing the minute the deal ends in some way or he finds a loophole, he will try to exploit it. I know that Bastar enough to know he will never really relinquish Angel, but that is fine, I'll be ready for the fucker. Xavier nodded his head. Where to now, sir? Take me to Giovanni's, I need to just party the rest of the day away, and honestly, getting sheet-faced sounds good right about now. Of course, sir, but Lady Charlie will be quite angry. Naruto nodded his head and sighed. Yep, but I had a long day, so she can beach at me later. Naruto watched as things were passing by until finally, after exiting Valentino's side of town, he saw a club that had loud music blaring and people waiting in a long line to get inside. Naruto took off his hoodie, and without warning hops out of the car and shouts, "Come by in the morning, Xavier, tell Mom I said so." Yes, Master Naruto. With this, the limo pulled away and the guard at the door, weird purple man with a speaker in his mouth, saw him, motioned him inside. Naruto waved, before walking into the club smiling, seeing Tex and his girl hanging out with the others. Ah, F it. Naruto released a howl, and this drew the club on him, and Tex and the others howled as well. Who ready to get sheet-faced? We are. That night, Naruto would barely remember what happened and not give a flying F. Make enough. Naruto growled at Angel. You had to tell others about my virginity, didn't you, effing pole sucker? Angel laughed. Hey, Cherry and I were just talking, and the subject came up. Bullshit. Well, Cherry smiled and laughed. It is okay that if you can't get it up or even pack much, you know that old saying, it ain't size that matters but what you do with it. Naruto growled. I'm not impotent, and I sure as shit ain't small. I just don't feel the need to brag or start something about it. Angel rolled his eyes while the rest of the room just went on with their day, while VERYYYY was listening in carefully, thinking this would explain his lack of interest in her. Naruto hearing this joke, knowing Angel is teasing him relentlessly, and now he is getting shit about outsiders saying the same thing. Enough! Without warning and hesitation, he drops his pants and underwear, and without warning the entire room was left in shock. Does this look small to any one of you mother effers? Everyone in the lobby was left gobsmacked for different reasons. Angel, as he was looking at the size of the shaft and wondering, how the F does he walk around let alone fight without tripping over it? Cherry is taking some pics and thinking maybe she should jump that when she gets a chance. Alastor is horrified and covering his eyes with the tentacles and playing radio static. Husker just took a drink and quickly turned away, already feeling inferior to Naruto in the sense that he was packing some serious muscle. Vaggie, who walked into the room, was stunned silent and just wondering if it'd be wrong to try her luck while dating his mother, or if that is too weird even for hell. She may be a lesbian, she can't say, she might not be bisexual. Charlie is covering her eyes, not wanting to see her son like this. Luna, who had walked into the building to hang out with Naruto, was left stunned silent in the heat and taking pictures while fighting her urges to just mount him or be mounted. VERYYYY and Niffty just licked their lips and charged him, but they quickly were stopped by Charlie. Naruto, on the other hand, saw cameras outside and groaned. This is really not my day. Castle Gosha. What do you mean you are going to be busy? Stella Gosha shouted from her bedroom with her husband, which was loud enough to rouse Octavia from her sleep. Oh, great, Octavia thought as she grabbed the pillow and used it to cover her ears, which was in vain as Stella continued to scream at Stolas. Just another morning. Pushing the pillow against her head and turning over, Octavia soon gave it up as she could not fall back asleep. Grabbing her headphones and putting on some music, with the volume as high as it could go to drown out Stella's voice, Octavia got up. Drowsily getting dressed, Octavia put her beanie on and checked her social media. Her fingers scrolled up and 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 up through stupid garbage posts before she tensed and scrolled up a few times and tapped on a large cluster of videos. Stolas, meanwhile, was starting to get irritated with his wife's early morning yelling. Well, Stella screamed, her swan plumage in agitated form as she huffed to recollect her breath. You not going to defend yourself, you effing idiot. Okay, now, Stolas started as he was getting upset. What the F? Both Stella and Stolas stopped their argument in their tracks as they ran to Octavia's room. My little starlet, Stolas shouted in concern as they barged into her room, seeing Octavia in distress as she looked at her phone. What is wrong? Blitz in Luna's apartment. Luna's eyes snapped open when a gunshot went off. God damn it, you effing rodent, stand still, Blitz shouted as a second gunshot went off. Another rat, I guess, Luna thought as she got up, fully awake at this as a third shot was fired. Getting off of her bed and grabbing her phone, Luna got dressed. Luna sounded as she saw a specific post blowing up in popularity. Tapping on it, Luna watched with boredom before her ears drooped with eyes widening. That son of a beach, Luna shouted in jealous anger. What is it, Looney? Blitz shouted through the walls as he continued to fire at the rat. Meanwhile, Naruto groaned. His head was throbbing, and he was not sure how he is not throwing up while the sun was blinding him. He was down the street from the Happy Hotel, which meant he had passed out drunk on the street. Really overdid it last night, Naruto thought as he lightly smiled. Last night had been a complete riot for him. After a reunion and a stressful afternoon dealing with the moth freak and being surrounded by Seg and DRGS, he was just looking to unwind. With Tex, his girl KK, and others there, things got popping so fast that he was lost in a mist of color. Walking up to the door, Naruto groaned at his throbbing head. Note to self, get Husker's instant cure for hangovers, or at least learn the recipe to make it myself. After getting up and brushing himself off, Naruto walked the rest of the way back to the hotel, and he saw Xavier parked outside of the hotel and sighed, knowing that he most likely told Charlie about his plans for the afternoon and into the morning. Sighing, he opened the doors and walked into the main hall, where he was greeted by the one thing that he knew would be waiting for him. An angry Charlie who was glaring him down with her arms crossed. Naruto, what the hell did you think you were doing? Charlie demanded. Naruto raised an eyebrow by groaning lightly from his pounding headache. I partied a little bit too much yesterday, he replied lackadaisically. Charlie growled, irritated by his laid-back attitude. A little? She pulled out her phone, opened up a social media app, and showed the screen to him. Naruto had to glare at the screen as his eyes were still adjusting from being in the dark club, and with the flashing light he was still adjusting. Okay. She pointed to the screen and Naruto looked closer and saw a video playing on the phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The count continues as Naruto is held upside down on a keg with a nozzle in his mouth and the other hounds around him chanting as he was held by Tex and KK. She is a blue hellhound with red eyes and white and black stripe hair. She was a big girl who was wearing a black torn-up shirt stopping mid-drift above her navel and wearing a pair of tight-fitting jeans that had holes at the knees and an opening for her tail behind her. The group is holding him up, and after a few seconds shows Naruto having reached 30 and then him being let down. Yeah, no one parties like a hellhound. Beaches! Naruto shouted as he threw his hands up, beer and saliva dripping from his nose and mouth, which was in this stupid smile with hazy eyes. Charlie then pulls her phone back to her face and clicks on another video and shows him this one, and he just moans. In the center of the screen, standing on stage was KK singing a song. Party like it is the last day of your life, with Tex standing by the stage with 4 bodies at his feet. His girlfriend just winked at him and he growled playfully. On the right side of the screen, Naruto at this point was making it rain by throwing money out onto the floor, and the hounds were rushing the grounds to get them some of the money while he laughed. Video flashes forward and it shows Naruto in a corner and some female hellhounds all dancing around him and some even grinding on him while he smirks with his eyes turning red. DMN, this is one fun evening. You girls sure know how to make a young hound feel special. Naruto howled out, making the girls laugh as they howled along with him. The video zooms on the women who are reaching at the bottom of their tops and without warning lifted them for Naruto to lick his lips. Now that is effing hot. Jump up and down. The girls complied to his demand before throwing their tops around and soon jumping on him and grinding to their heart's content, and Naruto just holding up a fat stack of cash. Charlie pulled her phone down, destroying it when it hit the ground. Really? You go out to deal with business and this is what you do? Charlie asked as her anger was not held back. Naruto rolled his eyes. Who the F was recording me though? Can you check? Naruto started to say as he went to move past Charlie. That is not important. Naruto turned to see Vaggie glaring at him, albeit her anger was not as raw as Charlie's. Your behavior is inexcusable. What if other people in hell saw this? Naruto deadpanned. What the F do you mean if they see? That sheet is out on the internet. If it isn't seen now, it will later. Naruto tries to walk to the bar, but Charlie blocks him with Vaggie, and he took a deep breath. Look, can we do this later when I have a chance to sober up? I have a throbbing headache and really don't want to deal with bad son. Good mom routine you like to implement. Excuse me? Vaggie growled at him and Charlie narrowed her eyes. Excuse us for loving you and not wanting you to turn into the other Azules in hell. Turning into a deviant like our oh so dear clients. I mean seriously, how do you think this makes it look like to them? They are trying to recover and you go out and do the same shit they are doing. What is the point then? Naruto rolled his eyes. They want to do this, me? I just want to enjoy life, party where I can and blow off steam when things get too stressful. I mean, he rubbed his hand through his hair. He was really annoyed and reaching pissed off levels. What the F is wrong with me going out and just chilling with some friends and getting a little wild? I mean, I got Valentino off our ass for now, so a thank you would be appreciated. Vaggie shook her head. Naruto, you can't just do random shit like this though. What you did with Valentino was dangerous, Charlie started to say. No more than just walking down the effing street. No more than riding in the known car of the Magni family. All of hell is dangerous. I mean, Charlie dragged me into the final circle of hell and lived there for a good chunk of my life. Naruto, Vaggie said with an eye raised. Naruto held his hand up to Vaggie. Seriously, stop trying to be my mother because you're not Vaggie. Vaggie flinched at this, and this got Charlie riled up. Naruto, you can't talk to her like that. Why the F not? She can't act like my mom when she has been here what? 4 years? 5? She has been here longer than that, and you know it. So, effing what, she is not my mother, and right now I don't need a nagging mother in my ear testing how far she can push my patience. Charlie got red in the face and Naruto growled back at her. Vaggie, seeing the tension, decided it'd be best to back out now. Haven't seen anything like this since the day we first met and he bit me. She subconsciously rubbed her arm. Hearing footsteps, she sees Alastor, Husker, Niffty, VERYYYY, and Angel looking into the room. Not wanting the added tension, she rushes to them and pushes them away from the opening in the hall. Whoa, taco breath, what the F are you doing? Angel laughed out, sort of enjoying the panic Vaggie expressed. Look. Vaggie looked behind her, then back at Angel with a glare. You guys can't go inside right now. I mean it, things are really tense and it might be getting really ugly. What the F do you mean? Husker could hear the argument from upstairs, and he was annoyed since he was sobering up and he needs a drink. But they were blocking him from the bar. Look, it is complicated right now, just stay out. Alastor, smiling, snapped his fingers. Oh, dear girl, let's us watch from here then. Vaggie sighed, but soon everyone gathered around the mirror to watch the mother and son fight. Back with Charlie, she was really angry with Naruto. I can't believe you are treating Vaggie like that when she is trying to look out for you. Naruto rubbed his forehead. I didn't ask her to. All I'm trying to do is find Husker's stash of hangover cure drink, and you are just agitating me with the constant pestering and add her to the mix. Anyone would be driven up a wall. What do you mean pestering? I'm just trying to make sure you don't become a complete degenerate. Naruto scoffed before laughing right in Charlie's face. By sheltering me? Charlie, seriously, I'm dealing with a lot of shit right now, and this is the only way I can cope. What problems could you possibly be facing that haven't created for yourself? I mean, your selfish behavior has brought a lot on you. Naruto's eyes turned red, and the floor started cracking with him gaining a faint red aura. Selfish? Are you effing serious? He pointed his claw finger at her. If anyone is effing selfish, it is you. Excuse me, she growled, and her horns started forming and the floor beneath her now was creaking. How is trying to be a good mother considered selfish? Oh, I don't know, let me think. Naruto pretended to think before snapping his fingers. How about keeping me completely oblivious about stuff that I'm facing now? Segs and DRGS. I get you don't want me indulging in them, but I'm facing a bit of a crisis at this time because I think I'm a late effing bloomer because of you. Worse, I can't stop certain things from happening no matter how hard I try. What the F does that mean? Naruto rolled his eyes as he turned his back to Charlie. See, I can't talk about shit with you. Well, then, he cut off Charlie while turning to face her sharply. How about you condemn your dad for giving me more freedom to do what I want and the training necessary to fight off overlords and other high-ranking demons when they started coming for you? You were 8, Charlie screeched. How the F was that reasonable? He introduced you to booze by the time you were 10. Yeah, well, at least he was trying to not be this perfect persona of a parent and admits his faults and mistakes unlike you. I can admit when I'm wrong. Name one effing time. The group in the other room were watching, and everyone was having varying reactions. Vaggie was getting really concerned with how intense both were getting. Angel was just watching in concern, never seeing the two this pissed and angry at each other. Husker was watching with a neutral expression, but he had an idea what Naruto was facing, but it was not his place to say what. Alastor just watched in interest as he never expected things like this as the last time. He saw the two of them, they were close in terms of parents with their children. Niffty was just imaging her cleaning up the damage they were leaving behind. VERYYYY, however, was frowning at the mention of being a late bloomer, and she was sure what he meant. It would explain why he can get excited, but he is not sure how to handle it and not sure where his preferences might go. She pulled out her phone and texted Tex, knowing he would be the best to talk to Naruto about this stuff. I was wrong in thinking you are mature enough to act your age, Charlie threw out. Naruto's eyes and body went stiff before he roared. Not mature, motherfucker, I have done everything for you and this hotel. Not once have you ever thanked me for everything I'm doing and the fact that I'm stepping on my own ideals to help. Charlie flinched. Not to mention you haven't once thanked Vaggie for her help either. I mean, she hasn't said it out loud, but F you. She thought the hotel idea was stupid as well, but she did it because she cares about you for some unknown effing reason. Vaggie didn't face the others in the hotel, but Angel did look at her in confusion and a little bit of new respect considering she was putting her feelings aside for someone else, which he can't say he has done very often while down in hell. Not just that. How about all the crap I have done to help you keep this place running and more so going beyond expectations? He held his fingers up. I convinced the former owners to leave after they threatened to rap me. Naruto shivered. That was not a pleasant day. Tentacle monsters were never fun people to deal with. On top of that, there is trying to keep this hotel maintained from breaking. Then, how about your ex? Have you ever told Vaggie how that ended and who was the one that helped you kick the prick to the curb? Charlie turned from Naruto and shivered. Effing figured. Naruto then held up his third finger but felt his hangover finally taking over and just growled. All my effing time here. Everything I have done for you and the sacrifices others make for you, and not once have you said thank you. Not once have you really tried to understand why we are doing this for you. Not once have you truly appreciated what we are doing for you. Naruto glared. At this point, I'm just effing done, Charlie. You want to treat me like this after I did everything I could to keep some weird motherfucker from the hotel, then fine. Naruto turned on his heel. On a serious note, have you ever thought about the people in heaven? Hasn't it ever dawned on you that they might not want sinners to be redeemed? What if you do end up redeeming Angel, but when he gets to the pearly gates, they kill him on sight? Angel felt an intense cold chill run down his spine. Charlie was tense, a look of shock, confusion, and dawning fear on her face as Naruto rolled his eyes and turned heel towards the door. I'm leaving, don't contact me. Charlie reached out, grabbing his wrist. Wait, you can't just leave. Excuse me? Naruto turned his head slightly, pulling out of Charlie's grasp. You might have adopted me, but that doesn't mean you control me. I'm more than just some filthy stray. Charlie glared. You're my son. Just tell me what is bothering you, please. We can work through this. Naruto shuddered, hunching his shoulders in anger. Did you literally forget what I just effing said a minute ago? This is exactly it. You are told the truth, and then you seemingly ignore it, and without hesitation, you try to flip the script. I'm not. You do this all the effing time. That doesn't mean you have to yell at me, Charlie shouted back, tears starting to stream down her face as her voice screeched to a higher pitch. The F? Naruto deadpanned before finally roaring out for the entire hotel to start shaking rapidly. Are you effing serious? Yes, I am now. Stop acting like such a brat and just talk to me. Charlie begged. Naruto felt it. Something in his head just broke and finally he shouted. F you oblivion, I'm so sick of this, and as of this moment you can F off with your stupid effing dream and ambition. Run the hotel, do your effing pointless treatment, and do whatever you effing desire, but don't ask me to be here because I sure as F won't be, as you are the worst effing mother in all of hell. The entire hotel was silent. No one dared utter a word. The mirror quickly turned off and everyone found the floor and walls very interesting. As for Charlie, waterfall tears were rolling down her face and she was just in shambles. Naruto just stared at her for a second before walking into the hall and saying, I'm going, don't any of you effing follow. With that final message, he opens and slams the doors before walking into the limo where he collapsed onto the back seat. Sir? Naruto barely looked at Xavier. Just effing take me home, Xavier. Now I just don't want to be here any longer. Xavier frowned and looking through his mirror, he nodded his head at the young man and started up the car. Please roll up the window, please. I don't want to talk. Naruto turned away from Xavier and he rolled up his window, and after starting down the road, he pulled out his cell phone and dialed 666. Hello? Yes, my lady, this is Xavier. I'm heading your way. There is something that has happened and I think you are needed. Thank you, see you soon. He quickly hung up the phone and frowned. I hope the young master and Charlie can work this out. 7th ring. Lilith Magni walked through the halls as the servants move around her in a bustle, readying things for Naruto's arrival. You, Lilith said to a servant that carried a bag of snacks. Let me check those snacks. With a flinch and a sweaty nod, the servant allowed her to check. Good, you got all of Naruto's favorites. Lilith said with a passionate smile before she placed her hand before the servant's face, magic pulsating in her palm. But I am not happy that you think you can poison him. Without hesitation, the servant's body was incinerated to the point where the ashes were burned into nothing. None of the other servants batted an eye at the murder of one of their own. I'll dispose of the poison goods, madam, another servant said as they took the bag. Thank you. Make sure you feed them to someone who deserves it, Lilith said with a smile, proud of her workers. She continued her walk, helping in small ways as she did, with a smile on her face. Ah, memories, she thought as she looked out a window into a courtyard. Flashback. Lilith smiled a shaky smile as she watched Naruto age 6 loudly gulp down his tea. It had been 3 weeks since Charlie, who was sitting next to Lilith, had adopted Naruto, and she personally didn't see any real reason to why her daughter had taken him in. However, Lilith could admit Naruto was adorable, especially in his tux with a short-sleeve button-up shirt and shorts. "Naruto, you should drink your tea like this," Charlie instructed, showing him how to hold his cup and demonstrating how to drink, which was very quiet. Naruto tilted his head, his ears moving with gravity. "Why?" he questioned with a confused look. "Because it is how we nobles do things," Charlie explained patiently. "But," Naruto replied, more confused than ever, "I'm not a noble, Charlie tilde." He demonstrated this by grabbing one of the pastries with his hand and shoving into his mouth, chewing with his mouth open, making Lilith giggle as Charlie stood up. "Hey, don't chew with your mouth open." "Why not tilde?" Naruto asked in a taunting tone, some of the pastry flying out of his mouth and onto the table. Charlie's eye twitched in irritation, but she took a deep breath. "Because people don't want to see." "What? Seafood?" Naruto asked with a cocky smile as he opened his mouth, his tongue hanging out of his mouth with the moist, chewed-up pastry slipping off and onto his shorts. Grossed out, Charlie grabbed a napkin and wiped his shorts, much to Naruto's displeasure. "Hey, you are near my pee-pee," Naruto shouted, making Charlie blush in embarrassment. "That isn't." "Pervert," Naruto shouted, standing on the chair and pointing at her. "Charlie is a pervert." "Hey, I am your mother," Charlie snapped as she picked him up under his arms and sat him back down. "You don't point at people and you don't shout that kind of accusation." Naruto scowled. "I don't have a mom," he grumbled loudly, crossing his arms as he turned away from her. Lilith couldn't help but feel a small pang of sadness as she saw the look on Charlie's face. "Charlie," Lilith started to say before Naruto's ears perked up, his blue eyes widening. Lilith watched as Naruto turned and jumped off of his chair, pushing Charlie aside as a magic steel rope appeared and wrapped around him, binding him. "Sheet!" an individual shouted as they pulled Naruto up, holding the hellhound upside down. "We didn't get the princess, but from what we just heard, he is her kid, so he is a good hostage." "Naruto!" Charlie shouted, her irritation from earlier vanishing as it was replaced with worry as a group of 12 men standing on the wall. "That's enough out of you, princess," the leader said as they held a gun to Naruto's head. "Comply to our demands," he knocked the gun. "Your stray is going to paint this wall with his brains." The members of the attackers chuckled. Naruto shook in fear as the BLD in his body rushed to his head. "What do you want?" Charlie asked as her heart beat loudly in her chest. "We want." "This is droll," Lilith said as she put her cup in her saucer before standing. "Stay where you are, lady, or the kid dies," the leader reaffirmed to Lilith, whose eyes narrowed dangerously. "Pigs like you," Lilith stated as she stood up, her magic permeating the air with ease, "can oink when you eat your own sheet." "Oh, we are," the leader started to say before he stopped. "Boss? Yo, you okay?" Their boss turned to them. Upon his head was a twisted crown of jagged iron appears on its head, and a madness glows in his eyes. Turning his gun on them, he shot one of them in the head. "Boss!" Several more gunshots were heard and silence drowned the screams as the leader, coated in the BLD of his allies, approached the queen and princess, untying Naruto. "Naruto!" Charlie shouted as she hugged the hellhound, who didn't resist as he hugged her back. "I was so scared." Lilith turned to the assailant. "You've made me proud," Lilith cooed as she walked past the man. "Now, kill yourself, you disgusting pig." In a swift arm movement, the assailant shot his head into chunks, collapsing to the ground as Lilith wrapped her arms around Charlie and Naruto. Flashback end. Smiling at this memory, Lilith started to walk through the castle, reliving memories. Hotel, several hours later. "Charlie, come on, please open the door and let me in," Vaggie begged as she gripped the door handle, knocking on it for the umpteenth time that day. Vaggie was standing outside the bedroom for Charlie and she couldn't hear a thing. Not a word, a sniffle, nothing. That is what worried her as she knew that Charlie was just broken but due to the new locks. She wasn't sure how to get in since only Naruto knew where the master key was and the only other key for the bedroom was in Charlie's possession. She banged her head against the wall, This is just fan-effing-tastic. Hearing footsteps, she turned and glared. What do you want, Angel? The spider rubbed his shoulders with his extra arms. How is Charlie? Vaggie raised an eyebrow and pushed off the wall. About what you can expect, broken and depressed. I don't think Charlie realized a lot of what he said, and now it is starting to sink in, and how far she pushed her own son away with her behavior and how smothering she was being. Angel raised an eyebrow. Yeah, he mentioned that what the F does her being smothering have to do with things? Vaggie rolled her eye. To be honest, everything. She rubbed the back of her hair. When I met Charlie and Naruto, things were calmer. Lucifer told me when he was younger the two of them were always fighting or arguing at times about her treatment and not being allowed to do what he wanted. She looked at the door. By the sounds of it, after her ex was out of her life, things were good for them. They were getting along, and even when I started dating Charlie, the fighting between me and him was limited thanks to them being so understanding one another's feelings. Like how he felt meeting another chick interested in his mom. Sort of? Flashback. Mom, Dad, this is Vagatha. Charlie introduced Vaggie to her parents. Vaggie was stiff as she smiled nervously. Being before the king and queen was overwhelming. Oh, who is this cute thing? Lilith said as she approached Vaggie, cupping her face. You are cute. Thank you, ma'am, Vaggie said as Lilith lightly squished her cheeks. Please, stop. Lucifer chuckled as he walked next to Charlie, both smiling. So, Lucifer said as he gave Charlie a glance. You like women now? Charlie's smile widened to the point her eyes nearly closed. Yeah, she replied happily. Lucifer chuckled as he returned his gaze to his wife and Vaggie. Me too. Both father and daughter chuckled before Lilith released Vaggie and gave her a hug. Welcome to the family, Vagatha. You can call me Vaggie, Your Highness, Vaggie said nervously. Okay, Vaggie, now there is someone else you need to meet, Charlie said as she took her girlfriend by the arm and led her deeper into the castle. Charlie led Vaggie to a bedroom, which she could hear the sounds from a TV inside. A younger sibling? Vaggie thought, which confused her as she could have sworn that Charlie was the only daughter of Lilith and Lucifer. Coming in, Charlie said as she opened the door. Within the room was a very childish-style room, with toys and books, a small desk, and a large TV with as many game systems from the human world. Before the TV was an 8-year-old hellhound Vaggie had never seen, with his blonde hair and blue clear eyes surprising her as he turned to face Charlie and her with confusion on his face as he paused his game. Vaggie, this is Naruto, my son, Charlie said happily as she called out to him, pulling Vaggie with her. Naruto, I want you to meet Vaggie. She is my girlfriend. The 8-year-old stared at Vaggie with confusion before it became an intense coldness that wreaked havoc on Vaggie's nerves as Lilith and Lucifer walked in behind them. Vaggie was not sure what to make of this. I expected her parents, Vaggie thought as she approached Naruto with caution. But I didn't expect a child. Did she get pregnant? Or was it adoption? Lucifer and Lilith were watching the interaction with smiles on their faces and seeing how the boy reacts. Naruto sniffed the air, causing him to give her an inquisitive look, analyzing her movements as he stood up when she approached him. Vaggie walks up to Naruto and kneels in front of her and holds out her hand to him. Nice to meet you, Naruto. I hope we can get along. Naruto stared at the hand and then back at Vaggie. Charlie smiled as Naruto looked at her, giving him a nod. Baring his fangs in a smile, Naruto bit Vaggie's hand. F, Vaggie shouted in pain as she jumped back several feet, Naruto going with her as he didn't let go even when she was waving him around trying to shake him off. Lilith is laughing lightly while Lucifer is on the floor, laughing crazily while Charlie is trying to pry Naruto off Vaggie. No Naruto bad, Charlie said as struggled to get him to let Vaggie go. Grrr. Vaggie was crying in pain and trying to shake him, but his fangs were deep in her flesh, and she was not sure what to do. Okay, that does it, young man, Charlie stated as she flicked his nose, startling him enough to release Vaggie's hand. I am so sorry, Vaggie. Charlie apologized as she held Naruto close, the BLD that soaked the fur around his lips smudging her clothing. Naruto is so nice, usually. It's, Vaggie winced in pain as she held her bleeding hand. Fine. Shortly after, Naruto was sitting on the ground with a frown on his face. Naruto, you can't just attack people like that, Charlie scolded. You didn't complain when I did it to the last guy. Naruto mumbled as he crossed his arms. Charlie flinched while Lucifer frowned but returned with a smile, placing his hand on Naruto's head. That was different, Naru, so please behave for Charlie, won't you? Lucifer stated to the Hellhound. Besides, Vagatha seems to make her happy. As her son, don't you want to see your mother happy? Naruto huffed before nodding. Whatever, I don't like her and won't ever like her. Naruto got up and walked out of the room with Charlie turning to Vaggie with a sad smile. He at least acknowledged you, that is something. Vaggie frowned. Little Bastar won't get rid of me that easily, Vaggie thought darkly. Flashback. Huh, so he bit you. Pretty much it took a long time for him to warm up to me. How did that work? She shook her head. That's enough about my past with the royal family, okay? Look, she turned her head to the door. I don't care what you and VERYYYY do for the next few days, as I think Charlie is not in the mood for sessions, so just don't leave the hotel, okay? Angel shrugged his shoulders and walked down the hall to his room, but what she didn't see was Angel frowning in worry. Who is the guy that hurt Charlie that Naruto lashed out at him? I might have to look into this, as I'm curious to know who made Naruto become so open with Charlie. Tex. The Hellhound was sleeping in his room, and he heard his phone ringing inside. While he was not as drunk as his girl and best friend last night, he was still feeling the effects of the night. Answering his phone, he saw a Chibai VERYYYY. She really can't leave me alone. Pulling his other arm free from his girlfriend, he swiped and held the phone to his ear as he walked into the living room. VERYYYY, look, I'm a little. Tex, listen, something has happened with Naruto. He raised an eyebrow, remembering him and KK had left him passed out at the club, as Giovanni said he would watch over him until he woke up and make sure he is ready to go home. What could have happened in that time, as Giovanni might not be the strongest fighter, but he was more than terrifying to those that actually knew of his power. What happened? I don't know all the details, but Naruto is having some personal issues that I think he needs another hound for. VERYYYY hastily answered. Could you be more specific, as there are tons of things that Naruto hasn't addressed as a hound? Tex asked in slight confusion. He said he is a late bloomer. Tex went stiff. He said that specifically. Yes. Tex moaned as he pinched the bridge of his snout. Tex, does this mean what I think it means? VERYYYY asked in heavy amounts of concern. Yeah, I'll reach out later today. Dude must be seriously confused from last night, and now starting to notice certain hormones. Got to talk to the little guy about this, thanks for the heads up. Tex said as he had to prepare for the conversation with Naruto. Tex, just help him, I know you can better than I could or anyone else right now, VERYYYY said in an exasperated and worried tone. Tex smiled. Got it. He heard the hang-up on his side and sighed. Tex, baby, what's wrong? KK asked as she entered the living room, wearing one of Tex's shirts, which was huge on her, and had her hair down. He turned his head to his girlfriend and frowned. Naruto is starting his puberty and doesn't know how to deal with it. Tex answered honestly. KK gasped, her eyes wide. Yeah. Tex was no longer tired or hungover as he got ready to talk to Naruto. 7th ring. Standing in the middle of the 7th ring is a large white castle. The limo pulls up to the castle and comes to a stop. The back door opened and out came Naruto wearing his white hoodie and with a frown on his face. Home sweet home, I guess. Naruto walked up the steps to the front door, and when he touched the doors, they slowly swung open. Dramatic effect. How effing original. Naruto deadpanned when he saw the lineup of maids and butlers all bowing to him. Most were imps, but there were other demons of varying looks and lineages among them as well. Welcome home, Lord Naruto, they all chorused. Yeah, thank you all, and now you can all politely F off. The servants are shocked. Naruto was usually nicer to them than even Charlie. Some were wondering what has gotten into him since they could see he is tired and looked drained. Now, sweetie, that is no way to treat the servants that came to greet you. Entering the main foyer hallway, was a beautiful woman with light pale skin, red horns on her head, a black dress, and a seductive smile on her face. Naruto gave a small grin. "Hello, grandmother." Lilith laughed before waving the servants away, who quickly dispersed to deal with different things in the manor and gossip about the Prince of Hell's attitude. "Welcome home, dear." She quickly walks up to him and gives him a soft hug and a kiss on the top of his head. "Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome." Lilith frowned slightly and shook her head. "Charlie, you really don't understand the effect you had on him and what he has really done to himself for you. Well, I know you're tired, so why don't you retreat to your room and I'll have the servants bring you your favorites to drink." Naruto smiled. "I actually would like those, thanks." Lilith nodded her head and waved him off with a shooing motion, making him retreat down the hall. "It is worse than I thought. Charlie really has pushed him, and he is not having it anymore." Pulling out her own cell phone, she dialed a number and heard. "Yes, what is it, dear? I'm in the middle of this drabble of a meeting with the Sins." "F your meeting, our grandson is home." "Really? Is Charlie with him?" "No, dear, please get back here as soon as possible, as I think he needs you." "I'll be there in an hour." Lilith hung up her phone and walked down the hall and into the kitchen. Her grandson was home, and this meant a special feast for the night, even if she had to kill a few of the servants to make it. One servant that looks like a rooster started to sweat bullets, feeling best to stay out of the kitchen. Naruto, on the other hand, had entered his room, and it is quite spacious. He had a king-size bed near the center of the room, a 60-inch plasma TV with the latest game consoles, all the latest games, and a wireless high-quality remote made of effing gold. In front of it was an Italian leather gaming chair with a diamond-encrusted headphones for online gaming. In one corner, a private bar with all his favorite drinks and even some small snacks. Naruto walked over to his small bar and quickly opened it up and saw he had a bottle of tequila, so he poured himself a glass and walked over to his chair and put it into the cup holder while putting on his headset that he modified for his ears, and quickly started up his console. Going through his games, he picked one. Cyberpunk 2077. Apparently, he heard they made major updates to the game, so he was going to invest some time into it. Once the game booted up, he quickly got into the flow of things and got lost in the story while ignoring the heat that was coming from his crotch and trying to understand how to make it go away. Another part of Pride Ring. Cherry was sitting on a rooftop going through her phone and seeing who she can F with today while hearing the blaring sound from some club down below. She could only roll her eyes when she heard someone shouting, "Lord Menu, how could you have forsaken me? Why, yes, Ginger, I would love another lap dance, thank you." Cherry wondered how she could hear the demon from all the way up on the roof of another building, but didn't give it much thought. "Only your dances can fill the hole in my heart." Another voice, similar in tone, shouted, "Would you shut the F up over there? Some of us are trying to set up our safe word." "Okay, baby," started the first voice. "I'm ready." Cherry could only guess they must be relatives given the distinction of their voices. "I'm sorry, sir, but you're out of money." "What out of money? Hey, Ajat, give me some money." "F you," shouted the second voice. "Don't make me come over there, you piece of sheet. We both know that a one-pump chump like you doesn't have that kind of distance." Cherry choked on her laughter. That was clever. "Oh, hell no, I'm coming over there now." "Ha, bring it, Beach." Soon some muffling was heard. "Hey, what the F? Take your hands off me, what did I do?" "Hey, I'm not doing anything." "You're disturbing the guest," a deep voice said. She guessed the bouncer. "And you are out of money." Soon Cherry saw two green beings thrown out the door into a nearby alleyway. "Ginger, you effing tramp, I still love you. This is the fourth effing time, why do I keep coming with you?" The first one looked at the second. She couldn't see their faces, but she saw they were skinny and green. Cherry didn't know that one of her bombs had fallen out of her bag and to the ground below, rolling to the middle of the street. "So, what do we do now?" "Go slay some other Ajats in this town and getting your broke ass some more cash." "You could have just lent me some, you effing Ajol. Then we wouldn't have been thrown out." "F you, overcompensating prick." "Beach, let's see who has more followers on YouTube, as I ain't overcompensating nothing." The second one soon stepped out of the shadows, but was blinded when a bomb went off, and he was sent flying. "No, F. The figure turned to the roof, and within a blur, Cherry saw him disappear from the ground and appear next to her. The demon in question was a skinny limb green frog she had to guess with big white eyes with black pupils. The F? You beach that Ajol had all the money still and I needed that, so you're going to make up for that now. Cherry smiled slightly. So did anyone tell you look just like Kermit the Frog from Sesame Street? Cherry pointed out with a hesitant chuckle as she realized that he really looked like Kermit the Frog. Like, exactly like Kermit the Frog. Kermit stared at her, his eyes unchanging, but his face scrunched up as the ground around him started to shake. Wait, what the F is going on? Cherry asked in concern, on edge and prepared to react if attacked. You stupid whore, Kermit said as he clenched his felt-looking butt cheeks as he grunted, his body being surrounded by an intense lime-green light. I'm a mupeet. Cherry used her hands to block the light, and the moment it died down, she looked between her fingers. What the F? She shouted as the once skinny frog turned into an insanely buff, with godly six-pack abs, rock-hard pecs, and voluptuous cheeks. It's the power of Sterwa, Kermit said as he pulled out a boom box, dropped it on the ground with a thud before hitting the play button with his foot, which started to play roundabout by yes. The F is going on with the music. Prepare to meet your maker. Kermit struck a weird pose with his hand in front of his face and Cherry could hear the music ramping up. You one-eyed thought. No, seriously, what the F? So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Crowfeast on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.